Well, there goes the Daverhood. Good morning, everybody, and welcome live on this Saturday. Wait, no, I just turned the volume down. Why is there still volume? Shut up. There we go. On this Saturday, October 30th, 2021, Halloween, well, the day before. Wait, hold on.
Hold on, wait, I gotta fix it. Wait, I gotta fix it.
What's the matter? Oh, get that collar up. There we go. Oh, you're unbuttoning me. This is interesting. What's going on? Oh, I feel so loose and funky and fresh now. Look at this. But wait, and behold. Wait, oh no. I had a couple of cups of coffee this morning, so I have to make another one. Hold on. Oh, feeling better now. I wanted to do that yesterday. We actually had a Halloween party, if you will, at where I work, at not our office, but one of the offices that are part of our school complex. And so I came as, of course, or actually no, it was much more meta than that. I had Potato with me, and basically Potato was wearing a ketchup costume. And I thought we were great. I thought we really pulled it off. You can kind of see, it's hard to see the whole costume here because we're in a small space. But it was.
I have a way you can show them.
Potato's idea. Oh,
I have
how?
a way you could show them.
Show me. Oh, yeah, it's basically, here's how the whole thing looked on me. This is not me, of course. But it's quite an ensemble. Potato loved it. People got a big kick out of it. They laughed a lot. And yet, when the prizes were being given, and it was time, to divvy up, and there were only about like 20 people in the place, maybe 25 people. So I wasn't up against a lot of folks. And yet, this did not come in first place, nor did it even come in second place. I took third place in the costume party with this. I lost to Snoopy. Snoopy was really cute. I mean, it was a full Snoopy body, so it was very cute. I like Snoopy, fine. And then, who did I lose? I lost to a guy who came as the Burger King, and it was a crown and a red ermine sort of cape. That was it. He didn't do anything else. He didn't hand out burgers or anything. It was just the Burger King.
He handed out burgers?
How did I lose to him? I mean, and what would a Burger King burger be without... And yet...
You should have gone together as a couple.
What I loved about this... I'm going to take this hat off for now. What I loved about the whole thing also is that, I mean, we're kind of not the most well-funded or most high-toned, high-level school district. So there were prizes for the, and remember, this is a district geared towards teaching children. It's not a college, not a university, it's not a grad school. It is an elementary school district. And in the middle of the day, in the middle of the afternoon, we're in one of the district buildings having a small party with some nice Panera's food, and people brought cakes and pastries. It was lovely. It was fine. Great. Thank you. And then the prizes for costumes. The prizes, I swear to you, I took third in this ensemble. I got a box of goobers. It's right. No, not stuff that comes out of people's nose. No, the boxes in the office is chocolate-covered peanuts, which I love. But third place in this costume party, and totally appropriate in terms of, school kids candy, love it. Second prize that went to the king, the Burger King, was a bottle of vodka. Who does this in a school district? Who brings vodka in the middle of a school day
to here? Me a bit, yeah.
We did not open it. We did not drink it. Absolutely. Now, it reminded me. I got freaked out and a little worried years and years ago when I was at a fellowship at University of Southern California, and one of the people involved in the fellowship, a music writer, rather well known in music circles, very nice guy, and he was doing some of the teaching in our fellowship as well as at the university. And he had either just gotten tenure or he just made full. So we were all in the lunchroom, and he had just found out. And he came, and he was so thrilled. And our leader, the leader of our group that was part of the fellowship, brought out like wine and stuff. And they started opening the wine. I'm like, we're in a university lunchroom. We can't do this.
David,
of course they could.
They do it so like when my she's deceased, but when my mentor in my chair, when you defended the dissertation and you get the PhD, you're in line for the PhD.
Yeah.
She's like, what alcohol do you want? And this was like, you can't, but people do.
I can understand if it was in the dean's office, or a place like that.
Our library had wine and cheese,
Yeah, you're right. I guess you're right. They do with adults, but this is literally in the middle of the student lunchroom.
Drinking. It's not like
no, it's not remotely under. The guy was in his 50s. It's like, most of us were in our 20s, 30s, and up, well up. But anyway, I was just a little shocked by that, and also shocked yesterday. Like second prize in this elementary school.
Wasn't it a pack of Marlboro?
Was a bottle of Stoli, and then. And third prize was, I think it was a $10 bill, fine, okay. And then we all also got lottery tickets, which I won $1. A couple of people won $1. I think one person took $4. Yay, but it just occurred to me that here we are, well, I'm not an educator there. I'm just kind of, staff and assistant and data person, but Here we are, these people who are in special education and dealing with children and all of this, and the prizes were exactly the vices that we all tell children to avoid. I got a pack of chocolate-covered, chocolate sugar, teeth rotting.
Did you get a coupon for a massage parlor?
that would have been, but it was vodka, so it was drinking, it was eating sweets.
Avarice.
Yeah, avarice money.
So many people coveted each other's prizes.
And gambling, gaming, which is the lottery. So I just said, Joyce is right. Like the one prize they could have given out was like a 30% discount on the local massage parlor.
They should have given a pack of smokes. The bacon's on it.
That's right. That's right. And they served brownies. And I was looking at the brownies and thinking, it's almost legal here. It's kind of state legal, if not federal.
How come they serve brownies and afterward everybody ate 27 boxes of Panera's food?
Everybody started saying, "Hey, let's play mathletes." I was like, "What?"
Hey, let's cornhole.
It wasn't that kind of a party. But my disappointment was, and I get it because let's face it, this costume is okay. You go on Amazon or eBay, you buy the hat, you buy. There it is, and you put it on. There's no effort.
The costume was from Target, and I did have to get my 5% back. So, but come on, it's good looking. Even my mother said, she said, "What perfect costume for you beside potato is ketchup?"
We didn't even. That's the tragic part of my life is that this was not bought for the Halloween part. It was not bought for Halloween at all.
If we got a mustard one, and we got you and somebody to go as mustard. If we got let's say Richard to go as mustard. You would have won.
We both would. Well, yes. Then we both would have.
Yeah, but it would
split.
Have been good.
Yeah. Or, and I keep saying this. I as a personal thing, I don't like makeup.
Oh, look! Put from last year. Dave's spooky Halloween. October 30th. Spend Hollow Shabbat with me. I'm going to share it.
Oh, please do. Well, but the thing is, I'm one of the reasons I didn't really become an actor. There's a bunch of reasons. I don't like makeup. I don't like stuff on me, on my face. I don't like any of that. I don't like it on other people too. I prefer women without makeup. I do. So, but I am guessing that if I had gone the extra mile and put rouge all over my face and cheeks and whatever, and made all of me red to go, so that I was a truly real bottle of ketchup and the effort had gone in, I would have made at least second place. I would have gotten the bottle of vodka, which I don't drink. So I still don't know if I could have beaten Snoopy. Because Snoopy is so freaking cute, Next year I'm gonna, I don't know. I should, but I can't just go as Snoopy.
Why not?
Because that would be repetition. It would just be like that. If I could go
as the bird, what's the bird? Woodstock.
Woodstock.
Yeah.
No, I have a better idea. If we go together.
Oh Jesus.
I go as Snoopy, and you go as a fire hydrant.
I am not going to be something you pee on. We're not into that.
Come on, think about that.
No.
And you spritz water, and what do? I have to do like the supper time dance or something. I don't know. Anyway, I have another story about Halloween, and it's one of the greatest things ever. Because it's funny because it's true.
You have the picture? Yeah.
I have the picture. Well, I have it actually on my phone. I should, because I didn't delete it from my phone. So I'll show. Don't get it up yet because I gotta set it up, and it will go away before I get a chance to actually do it.
I don't know how to do it on your phone, so you're gonna have
So I'm coming back, folks. I'm right here.
This, David. I don't know how to. Let me be here. Gallery.
Merci beaucoup. Okay, so I will continue with the Halloween stuff, but first let me remind you that you're watching Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and adorable wife Joyce. This is our 822nd show, and we're calling it Big Wig. And it has nothing to do, this is not a wig, this is a hat, but we're calling it Big Wig because we're very excited to have a very special guest coming in the Daverhood in Gesundheit. It'll be quite a bit later in the show, but live on the program with us will be a notable American comic playwright. A guy who's, hard enough to be a playwright in this world, hard enough to have a hit play in this world. He's had a hit play and a mega hit musical too. He wrote the book for it. The play being, I was going to say Moon Over Buffalo. That was not as big a hit. That was on Broadway with Carol Burnett. But he's also the author of Lend Me a Tenor, Ken Ludwig. So he's got Lend Me a Tenor. He's also written bunches of other plays that have been done all over the country, as a matter of fact. Coming up, or opening, I think, last night in New Jersey at the George Street Playhouse. His play, Dear Jack, Dear Louise, opened there. And I believe it's the premiere. I don't know if it's been done in anything more than a workshop form before then. I guess we'll ask. But he's had other plays all over the place, and he's adapted plays. He's adapted Cyrano de Bergerac. Anyway, he's been working as a successful commercial playwright, words that never go together, for about 20, 25, 30 years now. Ken Ludwig, and he will be in the Daverhood to talk about his life and his work, not with me, alas, but of course with the great Rabbi Sal Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. So yes, Rabbi Sal will do the honors. As a matter of fact, the one thing I totally forgot, the rabbi's accoutrements, his gear.
I'll go fetch
I know I always forget to, and the rabbi's very particular. He usually has a dresser. He doesn't like makeup either, so he doesn't have a makeup artist, but he does have his own personal payas twirler. We indulge him in that fashion. He needs the craft table has to be completely Glock kosher, except for one ham sandwich. This is his thing. Anyway, Rabbi Sal will be talking to Ken Ludwig in a while on this episode of the show. Also, we will have our great trio. Oh, fantastic. Our wonderful trio of trivia mavens playing our today, yesterday trivia quiz.
Trivia mavens, competitive gladiators of battle.
Well, they become our core team.
It's like a nice,
yeah.
Sweet.
Well, yeah, when they get to playing the game, you got Leslie Hoban Blake, right? And you've got David Sheward. They're both theater critics and writers, and she's a director.
What time does the quiz begin?
Quiz is going to start at 10. So we got the quiz going at 10, and then Ken Ludwig coming in after the quiz. But it's a trivia quiz, so you can play against the team that's there, David and Leslie, and of course our beloved Vicki Quade from Chicago.
Whoa!
What, creator or co-creator of Late Night Catechism?
There's going to be some quiz action.
Yeah. So these guys, they know the drill. They've done the game many times now, all of them. So it's a real, and David wins a lot, but Leslie has won, Vicki has won once or twice. It's going to be
it's going to be hairy.
You're going to want...
You're so handsome, honey.
Ken Stenningsville. Well, red, it pops color.
Yeah.
Pops color in my cheeks. As does this chair I'm sitting in, but you don't want to see those. Anyway, also on this program, we do have a Colorado limerick of the damned from living in Colorado all these years.
I believe it's pronounced
Colorado. So I got it into my head.
Talk about your special thing with your thing or no?
What special thing with what thing? Not yet.
No, okay.
Living in Colorado, I got into my head to write a poem, a short, rude, extremely rude poem about all different places, towns, cities, little hick burgs and hamlets in Colorado. And because they're awful and because they're intentionally disgusting, we call them Colorado Limericks of the Damned. Today we go to Holyoke, Colorado. Oh, yes, I managed to make a poem where the rhyme word is Holyoke. If you're curious how that turns out, you gotta stick with us all the way through the show. And then we also go inside Broadway for news of the Rialto, because I've been a theater critic and playwright for many, many years. So I like to share what's going on Broadway.
When is the guest on date 11?
Yes. I'd like to, just tell you, because it's interesting to me. I love the theater, so I like sharing with you. It's like a comic segment. It's just a segment of news and information. And what's kind of cool is, if I can get it to work, and I should be able to, I taped a segment with our friend, longtime friend, going back even before this program, Charlie Gross. Charlie Gross is also a playwright. He's mainly a theater critic. Years ago, he started the public access, public access TV show 2 on the Aisle, which continued for about 25 years or so up until the pandemic. That got morphed into Critics Circle, since there were no shows to review, they turned it into a more of a theater interview show. Now it's kind of morphing back into a review show. But Charlie Gross asked me kindly onto his program to talk about the show that I reviewed on here last week, the Lehman Trilogy. So I said, you be honored, because I had been on 2 on the Aisle for many, many years as a guest co-host. So, I said, yeah, sure, I'd love to. We taped the segment last week. Charlie's cut it up, put it on. It's on his show, and I'm going to show you that segment here too, because it's 10 minutes. I don't have to work today. And then it's also getting Charlie Gross back on this program, because he can never come on. He's Orthodox. And otherwise, we would love to have him do the quiz and be a guest on some of our Saturday mornings.
You do really well on the quiz.
He's a smart guy. I'm trying to be a really good person to play the quiz. As a matter of fact, Charlie, Leslie, and I were the competitors when Leslie had that trivia thing going at her apartment building during the pandemic.
He was kind of the one who had the app and did the posting.
Yeah, he was kind of the one who centered us all while Leslie was going like, we're not streaming, I can't get the answer, what's the answer? And I'm like, I don't know. I knew none of these trivia questions. I can be a trivia host.
You helped because Charlie had trouble spelling.
Yeah, and I was good with spelling stuff and things like that. But anyway, so you'll get to see Charlie Gross again. This is so cool. All of that happening on this episode of Dave's Gone By, plus Greeley Crimes and Old Times. This is the segment that we love to do.
This is his website, right?
That's Ken Ludwig's. Yeah. Charlie Gross, Dave Lefkowitz, that's me, Joyce on Dave's Gone By. So all of that happening, Greeley Crimes and Old Times as well, which is a segment that comes out of the pages of the Greeley Tribune, the newspaper in Greeley, Colorado. They have 2 different columns every week. One which collects the phone calls that come into the local police dispatch, and the other where our friend of the Daverhood, Mike Peters, looks through the newspapers back from 1921, 100 years ago, and shares the weirdest, goofiest, most nostalgic things that were in the paper back then. We mix them all up. We call our segment Greeley Crimes and Old Times. All of that right here on Dave's Gone By. So let me get back to Halloween and the Halloween party yesterday at work. So, I mean, the group that I work with, the folks that I'm with, we're not the most party-ish people. And we're not also working in a school. We're not like, we don't have 100 children a day that we see where, oh, it's Halloween, the kids are going to dress up. We should dress up too. It's all fun and nice and cute. But our superintendent is a people party person. He believes in fostering the kind of conviviality among people. God bless him for it. I am certainly not that kind of person, but he is. So when he invites you to a party, an in-school thing, he goes the whole 9 yards, and he expects you to go at least 2 or 3 yards. He doesn't just want you to kind of show up in regular clothing. If it's a Halloween party, you should have, you should make some kind of effort, right?
So it's different.
Yeah.
I never taught like at the primary school level, but I think that's their mentality too, right? So
yeah,
like teachers, like even my mom said, she said, "Oh, it's David's around teachers, so the teachers dress up." Like I think that's what happens when you teach in primary school. Yeah. The teachers dress up, the kids dress up. That's more normative.
I mean, during New Year's. Yeah. I mean, not Halloween, my friends, but during New Year's, this man dressed up as Father Time.
Is that what it was?
I mean, he put on a long cloak and fake eyebrows, one of which he lost somewhere. So he's wandering around with one eyebrow. And
that was disturbing to me greatly.
To play Father Time. Again, this was
Frida Kahlo. That was not a good look.
Yeah, so, and we couldn't have a party last year because it was still like not the height, but there was still the wave coming of the fourth wave of the pandemic. So cool guy that he is, he went from building to building, bringing our holiday Christmas gifts and all, really, really nice. So, but, he's going door to door in this costume. And again, it's not Halloween, it's just Christmas. So, okay, this is the kind of guy he is. So I'm figuring, okay, it gives me an excuse to wear the ketchup costume. Potato wants me to wear the wear the ketchup costume. Joyce wants me to wear the ketchup costume because we bought the thing, and for me to wear it once, because I've already worn it several times on this program.
The first time you wore it was not Halloween.
Exactly. No, when we first got it that week, I was like, I gotta wear this.
Well, we could have. I mean, we have when Kmart closed in Penn Station. Yeah. I bought a unicorn, a panda, like onesies. You could have brought, and you have the Mrs. Potato Head costume that Tony got and I got you in Greeley.
Oh well, yes.
You have a line of costumes you could have shared with people.
Well, what I'm saying is, if I'm still working where I'm working next Halloween, I can't come back as a ketchup bottle. I've got to do something else.
By then we'll have a new.
What
did occur? Do the blood ketchup.
No, I didn't want to do that. I did not want to do that. But here's the deal with the other people that I work with, and this brings up the point that, first of all, there's one fellow, an Asian fellow that relatively new to us, and he was willing. He was like, okay, he wanted to dress up in a costume, and then last minute he goes through the closets looking for a costume, and he realized that everything that they had was for his kids when they were little.
Yeah, but a mask, couldn't he put do what you do. You put a sheet over yourself. You're a ghost. A toga. You take a sheet. You wrap it.
He could have done something.
He could have tried.
Yeah. And it occurred to me, and if I'd seen it, I would have done it. We used to have right in our room, for no particular reason that I'm sure it was there for a reason, and I moved it somewhere because we never used it, and I don't remember where I moved it. But we had a giant roll of that yellow tape that police put around the crime scene.
You could have wrapped it around him.
Yeah, and I would have said, you can be the cinematographer.
Oh, God.
You just go there with a camera, wrapped in police tape.
Just been okay, so he's in IT. He could have taken Band-Aid or tape, put it on glasses, glasses. Yeah. He could have put a pocket protector and been like an IT nerd.
Yeah, that would be insulting considering he's an IT nerd, as we all are.
It's self-deprecation.
Except he's the opposite of a nerd, by the way. You would look at this guy, and you would not realize, you would say, oh, obviously he's a technical whatever, and he's just this little Asian stereotypical man. And then on the weekends, he's like, oh yeah, we go whitewater rafting. I'm like, Jesus Christ, we go mountain climbing. Good God, it is wonderful. I hear these stories.
I'm getting paged, okay?
Go. Not on camera, don't go. Okay. So,
I put your guests link.
in the feed.
His website, and I said that he's on at 11 and the quiz is on at 10. So
thank you. So, he doesn't have a costume. He's not going to go in a costume, right? And I was telling him, why don't we just we got these white masks that we have for the pandemic, draw something on them. He's like, no, don't want to do. And meanwhile, also this guy's spending most of the day with his own equipment, mind you, going to all the schools in our district because it's a Halloween, it's party, and they're having dance things outside the schools. And he's got his own drone. And he's taking drone footage of these students who are dancing in the courtyard and putting music to it and making like these almost professional looking music videos. He starts shooting, and an hour later, the video's done. I can't, the drone thing is so mind-blowing. Because, he's telling me all about this thing, and he just attaches it, he sets the thing, he's got a remote control, it goes up, it spins around, things that Alfred Hitchcock had to do like via a helicopter back in the day, or to get a pullout from a scene and back and back and back, and then, or when you're zooming in, now it's like a guy with $1,000 drone, just, it's steady. It is astonishing what these things can do. And he even showed me this other thing where you can take your regular telephone, your basic iPhone, it has to be an iPhone, there's an app on it, and you set that app, and then you get one of these handles, one of these sticks, that's like $100, and that has a remote control on it. And although, of course, you cannot fly with it, your phone isn't flying, but it has this follow thing where the camera person doesn't have to move. If the person is moving in the frame, the phone just turns and twists with it. It flips back, it flips forward. It's just like, I was literally just sitting there, again, like a 4-year-old discovering how a toaster works. It's like, you goes in and you put that down, pop, comes out, look, the bread is hot. No, don't touch it. And I'm literally looking at this thing. You screw this is in, the phone goes in there, and now I just hold it like this, and I turn, no, I don't have to move. Move across the room. This camera will go like this, the phone will go like that, it'll go up, it can go zoom in, zoom out. I'm just a kid in Wonderland, So anyway, back to so that's his day, no costume. My boss goes in like a country bumpkin costume, and he's this very tall, really was a football player. He's this really well-built guy. So he looks good in anything. I'm always so goddamn jealous because he's going as a hayseed, and he still looks like, Mr. America. Fine, great, God bless you. But he's besides me, he's the only one in costume, right? One of our people on vacation, took a couple of vacation days. She didn't have to deal with all this. And then, this is the story I've been waiting to tell. This is the story. The other person that I work with, really nice guy, originally from Africa, and I've worked with him more than a year. I still don't know which country. I think it might be Nigeria, it might be Liberia, one of those diphtheria. I'm one of these African countries. With my bad ear and with us in masks for the first 6 months, I couldn't understand a word that he said in English. I'm getting there. I'm understanding better now. But he wasn't born here. Okay, he's been here a few years, but not that many years. So he's still not 100% knowledgeable or comfortable with American idioms. This is important. Keep this in mind. All right. So he comes in. I got to the office first. I was there for a while, and he was already coming from one of the other schools where he had stuff to do. And I'm like, dude, what? No, you don't have a costume either? Because this other guy, he has no costume. One of our other, I'm going to be the only guy. What happened? You didn't bring a costume? I said, yes, Div, I bring a costume. I'm like, well, you're going to put it on later? Where is it? Is it, no, I was going through the school and helping in the rooms. I'm like, that's good. And then the principal called me over. He said, no, you stop. I'm like, why? And he's like, you take costume off. You can't. No. Why? So he had said, he went looking about. He knew that we were going to be going to this party. He knew that the superintendent is very intent on people participating. And, being part of the group is important to him. So at least make an effort to have a costume. So he did. He went looking for a costume. He said, oh, fisherman. He's going to be a fisherman. So he gets like a kind of a nice fisherman's rain hat and like a camo fishing gear jacket or shirt. It's more like a jacket than a shirt to put over him, right? He just grabs it off a costume thing, buys it on the internet, whatever, however he did it, maybe Kohl's or something. He, fisherman hat. I don't know if he brought a rod and reel to complete the ensemble, and fine. But he didn't buy a thing that makes him like the Gordons of Gloucester yellow rain slicker fishing wear. He got something more modern and, kind of something an actual fisherman would wear, right? A really legit, wasn't a cute, funny costume, just a regular fishing costume. But he's saying, oh, Dave, no, the superintendent, he called me over. It is his problem. I'm like, okay, what problem was there? I'm literally going to show you on my phone, because what could be the problem with a fishing outfit? And he said, well, Dave, apparently I don't know the idiom. I don't know the language. I did not know this meant anything. It's just fish. Okay. I hope I can get this big enough. I'll just hold it right to the camera. What he did not get, because he saw a big fishing rain slicker with the company logo on it. Okay, can you see? I think you can see this. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There it is. Masturbators. Here's and it's on the hat. So he couldn't just wear the fishing gear either. He had it on the hat. On the hat. You can see that there. And so you can understand why the principal at the school is like, no, you can't go wandering through the hallways with children around wearing that outfit. And my African coworker was absolutely clueless. See, this wouldn't be so magnificent and fun if he knew, right? If it was, oh, ha, masturbators, I get it, funny, I'll wear this to a costume party. No, the beauty of this is that he just, I don't know why, I mean, it's a word I'm sure he knows, but to not realize the pun was going on there, and to just think he had a normal, inoffensive fishing costume, and then to wander around the hallways, not just of a regular party or a corporate costume party, but of a party in a kindergarten through 6th grade school district with classes in session. This is, I mean, if you want to talk about highlights of what had been a very good week, winning $1 on my scratch-off lotto card, taking 3rd place in the costume party, and winning a box of goobers, that doesn't even stand up to my poor African buddy being essentially humiliated and obliviously so by his choice of a fishing costume. How good does life get? I gotta tell you. Anyway, it's Dave's Gone By. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. We're doing this program. We've got Ken Ludwig, the playwright, coming up, talking to Rabbi Saul Solomon. We have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. We have our yesterday trivia quiz. But while we have the time, and since we have a playwright coming up later in the show, why don't we get started with the Broadway stuff? Why don't we do a bit of inside Broadway? Because, as I said, I'm a theater critic, a playwright, an actor, sometimes director, certainly a theater journalist. And I've been doing Inside Broadway, or iterations of that, ever since this program began back in 2002. So why don't I share some theater stuff with you, my beloved listening audience, Inside Broadway. A look at theater in New York, Colorado, and beyond, brought to you by TotalTheater.com and Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway. Just wanted to share a couple of things with you. There's not that much Broadway news to share with you this week, because already, amazingly enough, now that we've hit the tail end of October and moving into November, the heavy part of what would normally be a typical fall Broadway season has already sort of come and is going. There aren't going to be that many shows opening between now and, say, March. And that has nothing to do with the pandemic. That is just a natural order of things. A ton of shows open between late September and late October, and maybe some holiday-related things in November, but not much. And then things pick up again for the spring Broadway season. So that's where we're at right about now. I think we have a couple of reopenings still coming in December. Dear Evan Hansen, I think, has yet to open up. Company, the revival, that's coming in a little bit. There's one or two more, but anywho, I do have some Broadway news. Now, here's the deal. It's a very strange Broadway time. Everything's gone topsy-turvy in the last year and a half, because people have had all these months to reconsider how Broadway is done and what Broadway, excuse me, and what Broadway is. So, of course, you have women and transgender people and minorities giving Broadway a wake-up call and say, oh, you think that you're so left-wing and liberal and democratic and all these new ideas, and then you're not these Republicans who've held everybody down for all these years. Meanwhile, really, Broadway has been incredibly white and white male, and certainly white male. And, things have to change, not just the people on stage, but the people running these places. We need more Blacks and Latinx and people from different cultures, and sharing the stories of these different cultures, right? So, and not just lip service, or not just doing, we're a theater company and we're doing our one August Wilson play every year, but all the rest is our typical white stuff. No, let's have a real reckoning of what all these theaters are doing. So that's going on, and that's, in a lot of ways, that's really, really good. So, but that's just one aspect. There's also the idea or the fear of what Broadway business is going to be, because we've lost in New York tons and tons of tourism over the past bunch of months. And it's not as if, when Broadway started reopening in very late August, early September, all the tourists came back on all the airplanes and all the Amtraks, and they came from overseas. I mean, there are, but not what we're used to 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And who's keeping supposedly all the big musicals going and these long-running shows going? The New Yorkers have all seen them more than once. It's the newbies. It's the people who are coming from Iowa, the people who are coming from Japan, right, and Saudi Arabia, who are, New York, let's go, let's see this and this and this, right, where those people aren't yet back in the droves. So one of the decisions that producers made to begin this renewed season, when they were reopening shows or opening brand new shows, is saying, we're not going to report the grosses. This is something that they have traditionally been doing voluntarily for years and years. And this was the way to track money. You would see, if you read Variety, or if you looked at Playbill or one of the other theater websites, you would see what every show reported its box office gross to be for that week. Did they gross $800,000? Oh, well, let's see. Word has it that it costs about $600,000 to run this show every week. So every week, they're in the black, $200,000, paying the backers back. And eventually, if they keep doing that, they're going to break even, and then people are going to really start making a lot of great money. However, it also told you if a show wasn't doing well, if you knew that a show needed $600 a week to break even, and they were barely making $400,000 or $500,000, you're like, this is going to have a closing notice soon. And then the vultures started circling the available Broadway theaters to say, I want to get my show in, and this thing can't last because they're losing money every week. So that was kind of a barometer. Follow the money. That was the barometer of how you know how Broadway's doing. But this year, the producers made an agreement of like, well, we don't have to report our grosses. We're not going to, because it's pointless to compare what a show is making in 2021 still in a pandemic. I mean, we're still coming out of the fourth wave, compared to 4 years ago when it was record grosses and there was no people were flooding into New York and prices on all the Broadway shows were going through the roof. Now we've got to lower Broadway prices just to get people back in and feeling comfortable to come back. So we don't really know how Broadway is doing. From word of mouth and the sub rosa conversations, some of the big shows are doing very, very well. Hamilton is nothing to worry about, Wicked, shows like that. When everybody was scared for Aladdin a couple of weeks back because they finally reopened, and then somebody got COVID, either in the cast or backstage, and they closed for 2 more weeks to clean and quarantine everybody, but then they reopened again. And now the kids are getting vaccinated. It probably has an okay shot to keep going, but we don't know how they're doing. So all these shows are opening, lots of plays, right? The musicals reopened. How are they doing? We never really got a sense, because if you're a critic, like I am and my friends are, they're going in that first week, and there's a lot of press in the audience. And when I went to see the Lehman trilogy, it was very full. I wasn't sitting there with 5 empty seats all around me. It was like, oh my God, the people are coming back to the theater. We're all wearing masks, but it's normal. Everything's fine. But then there is perhaps the other side of it. So the Roundabout Theater Company, which is an institutional place, so they've got certain springs in so that they can fall back when things don't necessarily work out. They took 2 plays, very small plays, that were done off-Broadway a couple of years ago, and said, this is our chance to bring them to Broadway. We don't have a lot of people in them, so it's not going to be, in terms of a pandemic, having to deal with 30 people on stage and an orchestra. Let's just do these and see how they go. Plus, they were really well reviewed. They are, really strong pieces of work. So the Roundabout brought to Broadway a play called Is This a Room?, which is basically a one-woman show. Not one woman. It's a small show, though, all about Reality Winner, if you know who that is. That's the woman who was accused of, and I believe convicted of, spying. So she's brought in for interrogation by the CIA, and they use the actual transcripts to create the play of questions that they relentlessly asked her. Some of them seemingly innocuous, some of them asked over and over again, just to disorient her, just to make her question whether she's telling the truth, whether she's crazy, whether she's guilty, whether she's innocent. And of course, guilty or innocent, you feel for this protagonist character who's just being bombarded with questions, among them, I didn't get to see the play, but among them being like, well, she's in a room, but is this a room? Where you literally start to question your sanity when you're in this terrifying situation where if they take you out of, whether it's a room or not, your next stop might be Gitmo, right? So there's that play, which does not sound like a crowd pleaser, and then a play called Dana H., featuring Deirdre O'Connell. And Dana H. is a one-woman show about a person, true story, who, and again based on transcript stuff, of this woman who was kidnapped. And she was held by this guy in 5 different hotel rooms over a period of several months. And it basically gets into her psychology and how she managed and how she survived and so forth. Not, how do you even, how do you market those to people who haven't been to the theater in months? And not only that, theater people for sure, but how do you market that to your out-of-towner who was, let's go to Broadway. Where's the producers playing? No, the producers isn't playing. Let's see. Ain't Too Proud, the Temptations. Yeah, let's go see that. What's this? Oh, a very dark show about a woman being questioned by the CIA. Huh? So they opened these shows in repertory on Broadway. The Roundabout Theater did at the Lyceum Theater is the place that they were doing them, and they were going to run them until early January. But this week, word came down that both shows are going to close not on January 16th, but on November 14th. So they're literally closing them 2 months early. And you could just feel this little shudder in the theater community of like, oh, okay, you've got these two plays that got exceptionally good reviews, that when they were off Broadway, and again when they came on Broadway, that are really important major pieces of modern theater. They're really relevant. They're they deal with important issues, and apparently they're beautifully acted, and just we can't get enough people to come in to make it viable to keep running. And this isn't even, again, these are not commercial productions. These are productions basically put together by an institutional theater with off-Broadway theaters that originally produced them. So there's a cushion of a sense that they don't have to sell out every ticket to make the show viable, but they've gotta stay close to some kind of bottom line. And apparently they haven't. So they asked one of the producers and they said, look, we recognize we're in a challenging landscape for live performance, and we urge audiences not to miss what critics and audiences have called unmissable new theater. So if you haven't seen either of these plays, and to my detriment, to my shame, I haven't seen them because I'm still not going to the theater the way I should. I'm still balancing my time and my health and my wife's health and all that. I should go. But it's Dana H. and Is This a Room? They're both playing on Broadway at the Lyceum Theater now only through November 14th. We'll see how some of these other shows that nobody's heard of that are trying to, dig in there and get seen, we'll see how they do. Want to let you know, though, that you will have one night to see, if you're interested, December 16th at Town Hall. So I guess it's technically an off-Broadway thing, crossed with a concert, really. Kathleen Turner, Romancing the Stone and War of the Roses, with Body Heat, Kathleen Turner. She is doing a one-woman show called Finding My Voice. It's an autobiographical show about her life and her career, but she will also be singing songs from the Great American Songbook and beyond, including I'd Rather Be Sailing, the William Finn composition, On the Street Where You Live from My Fair Lady, Every Time We Say Goodbye. If you're interested in that, it's KathleenTurnerOnTour.com. So she's doing little places across America, and she's booked it into Town Hall. So, she's done a ton of Broadway at this point, because she stopped, I think she still does movies, but she stopped the movie star thing many years ago and has made frequent appearances in New York theater. Now she's going to be at Town Hall, Kathleen Turner. I want to let you know, by the way, that I'm getting all this information from Performing Arts Insider Theater Magazine. I'm not going to tell you anything, about it. I'm not going to do a push for it or a sell thing. I'm just saying this is where I get and collect my info. Performing Arts Insider Magazine for Broadway, off and off Broadway. Well, speaking of a person who's done Broadway theater, done off-Broadway theater, or performed on, or appeared on theaters here, and also in concerts and places like that, we did lose this week Mort Saul, age 94, Canadian-born Mort Saul, did pass away this past Tuesday. Came to the fore as a comedian via The Hungry Eye. He tried doing comedy in New York and other places, and they were like, nothing was happening for him. Went down to San Francisco, and one guy who was booking The Hungry Eye said, you got something, kid. And from there, it just exploded. He became, along with Lenny Bruce, really the most popular, respected comedian of the time. Because, again, he wasn't the Borscht Belt. He was like, he would come out famously with a newspaper tucked under his arm and talk, not quite as extemporaneously, but talk pretty casually about the news and about the craziness and zaniness of the news and what was going on just in the world and of culture. And you think I talk fast. He would talk much faster than I did, right? And people got into it. And every once in a while there'd be a joke, but mostly it was skewering the absurdity of modern life and modern politics especially. So he was huge for a few years, did a lot of television. He put out, who knew? He put out the very first actual comedy album. I didn't write the name down, but I think it was like 1953 or 55 that he did it. And then he put out a bunch more albums. The interesting thing was he was friendly with John F. Kennedy. He made fun of John F. Kennedy, then was a pal of John F. Kennedy, and he was devastated when Kennedy was killed. And then he was absolutely flabbergasted by what he saw as the lies and the obfuscations and the absurdity of the Warren Commission investigating the assassination of Kennedy. And he got so obsessed with it that, unlike Lenny Bruce, who just did a tailspin through drugs and alcohol and also his own court cases, where he just get on stage, blitzed out of his mind, and start reading, the transcripts of his court case, people were just like, oh my, where's the comedy? Saul would do kind of the same thing with the Warren Commission. He'd start reading from this 1,000-page report and try to poke through the holes in it and make fun of the holes in it. But people are like, okay, fine, write an article, write your own book. This is not stand-up comedy anymore. It's not anything we want to listen to. So his popularity waned. But over the years, it would come back a bit, then go down a bit. He did play on Broadway. In 1987, he did a one-person show, Mort Saul, on Broadway. I think he played off-Broadway a couple of times. And, God bless him, he, up until really the pandemic, when he was in his early 90s, he would go to a local theater in Los Angeles. They'd sit him down in like a room on a chair, and for an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes, he would do his thing. For an audience. They would come to see the great and not yet late Mort Saul. And it was filmed, all these things are on YouTube, you can watch them. And I'm to be blunt and not to speak ill of the dead, I'm not really a Mort Saul fan. I tried this week listening to his first comedy album, the one that is part of the historic audio preservation from the Library of Congress. And I was just heard him nattering. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm sure it was new for the time, and he's an influence indirectly on everything that I do. Not to mention all the modern comedians, including Seinfeld. Woody Allen wouldn't have tried stand-up comedy. He has said so, without Mort Saul trailblazing the way of being a different kind of comic. So his influence is actually much greater than his actual body of work. You can certainly say that about Lenny Bruce too. I think even more so Mort Saul. So as much as if I put on a Mort Saul album now, maybe not the first one, maybe I should try some later ones. And I remember seeing him on and off Broadway and being amused, but not being like, this guy's so funny, because really, to me, he wasn't. But what he represented and what he tried to do was pretty great. Anyway, so farewell to Mort Saul. Now, we've got some guests coming into the Daverhood very shortly to play our Today, Yesterday trivia game. But to close out this Dave's Gone By, this segment of Inside Broadway, I'm not just going to play the Inside Broadway theme. As I said, I'm going to share my screen if I can. Can I do that? Yes, I can. And I'm going to put up my desktop so that I can show you my appearance on Critics Circle with Charlie Gross, and we're both reviewing this play that opened just a couple of weeks ago, the Lehman Trilogy. Apologies, I should have worn a more colorful shirt, definitely. But, so I look kind of bleached out and bland, but I think I hold my own. It's been a long time since I've debated a show with anyone on camera. So I'm a bit rusty, as you'll see, but I think I do okay. This is Charlie Gross and me talking about the Lehman Trilogy.
Hello, I'm Charles Gross. Welcome to the Critics Circle. Our special guest critic this week for our On the Aisle review is my good friend David Lefkowitz. David is a critic, the author of the plays The Miracle of Long Johns and co-writer of Shalom Dammit with Rabbi Saul Solomon. And you can hear his weekly podcast, Dave's Gone By, where a frequent guest is our own Leslie Hoban Blake, going head-to-head with David Sheward in a weekly trivia contest. Dave, welcome.
Well, Charlie, it is delightful in so many ways to be back on Two on the Aisle, where for more than 2 decades I was often a guest on the show with you and Jeff and Leslie, and it's also great to be back in the theater. The show we're going to talk about is the first production that I have seen since March of 2020. So it was a big deal for me to step back into a Broadway theater.
You could not have made a better choice to return. This is the Lehman trilogy, and I had heard wonderful things about this show, but I think the history of the Lehman Brothers, trading big Wall Street company that after 150 or so years went bankrupt in 2008, it's going to be this very long, dry, preachy, anti-banking, anti-capitalist evening. Ugh. And then I stepped into the theater. I could not have been more mistaken. This is a 3+ hour show, but it sure feels a lot faster. It's moving, it's theatrical, it's clever. It looks simple, but it is so beautifully done. This is the story of Lehman Brothers, but the story of the 3 Lehman Brothers. Jewish-German immigrants who settled in the first part of the 19th century in Alabama. They were storekeepers. Then they became cotton brokers and traders and then bankers, and they reinvented themselves. In fact, one of the show's cleverest devices is how they keep putting a new sign on their store and later up on their office, and they built what became the 4th largest bank and trading company in the United States. And the show focuses on the brothers. There are these 3 ultra-talented actors, Simon Russell Beale, Adam Goodley, and Adrian Lester. They play the brothers, and they play every other part in the play, with the exception, I think, of a janitor. And you see how they spun on a dime. They were always looking out for new trends, for new opportunities, and seizing them. And it's fascinating. And then we go through the Civil War into the 20th century. And then the second generation of Lehmans comes and starts running the firm. And we see what they do and how they build the firm up to the Great Depression, where the third generation has to take the company through that. And we go up all the way into the firm's bankruptcy in 2008, which is where I think the play runs into a few relative, and I stress relative, problems.
Yeah, we both agree on that part of it, Charlie. We first agree that it is a riveting, compelling evening at the theater. And I was worried when I first started watching it about, 5-10 minutes in. I'm like, oh, it's readers' theater. Because for I would say 80% of the script, it's the actors essentially telling what is happening rather than having actual dialogues with each other. It's really very narrated all throughout. So I'm like, oh, okay, there's going to be a lack of drama here. No, mostly thanks to director Sam Mendes, and there is some poetry to the script, a lot of repetition, a lot of putting things in your mind that you're going to remember later. A line here will have relevance, an hour later, and you'll remember that, aha, that's why they set that up. Also, potato is mentioned frequently. One of the characters refers to himself as a potato, and that's very exciting to me for reasons that I won't get into here. But we also agree that the one stumbling block of the play is the third act, because I feel that it could have been a great play had they really just stuck to the family and the family dynamics rather than telling the whole story of the firm. Because towards the last 20, 30 years of the firm's existence, it wasn't about the Lehman Brothers. It wasn't even Lehman family anymore. So they have to introduce new characters right at the start of the third act, and when we get to know them a little bit, and suddenly, oh, they're running the show, and then like the last 20, 30 years, this sort of happened, and very quickly, and then suddenly, oh, firm dies. Like, wait a minute, you just took us through 3.5 hours to sort of let us down, and like, oh, that was it? Whereas everything that was happening in the first 2 acts, I'm like, gripped.
If you want to find out exactly how the firm imploded and went bankrupt, you're not going to learn it here. You know, look it up on Wikipedia or look for back issues of the Wall Street Journal, and that's a disappointment. But it does not take away from the brilliance of this play. As Devlin created this amazing set, which is a modern Wall Street office with projections all around it. And projections can be a problem, but in this case, I think it's the best use of them since the curious incident of the dog at night. It really enhances what we have, and I think it's, they use boxes.
Boxes as filing cabinet kind of boxes, but then it becomes a staircase. It becomes border, or things against the fire. It's just marvelously staged. I do wish it had been a bit more about the family dynamics and the morality of what they were doing, because we root for them. They're the protagonists, this family, this Henry Lehman who comes over. But at the same time, really mostly in the back of our minds, is like, well, they're trading in cotton and they're trading in plantations and plantation owners. Do we realize that these are Orthodox Jews from the old country coming from a back history of slavery and a modern history of oppression, and then essentially contributing to the economy of the South and being really disturbed when the South falls down during the Civil War and not having a moral reckoning of any kind about that.
You mentioned they're a Jewish family, and you see how that plays a role in the lives of the three brothers, but less so their descendants. You see when people die, how they observe the death. And when one brother dies, they close the firm for 7 days to sit Shiva. But later on, not so much.
3 minutes. When one of the last Lehmans dies, they don't even close. There's businesses continue. Lehman died. Oh, well, yeah, which is so different.
One beautiful touch that I love was Candida Caldrecott, who was a pianist. She accompanies the dialogue during the show. There's an actual piano. She's actually playing it. This is a play that you have to sit in the theater to really experience. This is not something you could stream.
And think about what we're saying about this play. That it feels like an epic. It's an epic story. And what is it? It's 3 actors and a piano player.
Yeah.
And of course, the amazing set design, but it's sort of like 3 and that creates an epic.
And you're thinking, oh, yeah, that's why I'm going back to the theater.
Right. That's how I felt.
Which is why, out of 3, with a maximum of 5 stars or playbills, I am giving this, despite the petering out at the end, I'm going to give it a full 5.
Wow. I can't go that high, but a solid 4 1/4, maybe even 4 1/2. Yeah, Lehman trilogy.
Okay. Well, David, thank you so much. Wonderful to have you back.
And hope to be back soon again. Thank you, Charlie.
My pleasure, my pleasure. And that is our show for this evening. And we'll see you in the Critics Circle.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Gross there. Let me stop that there. But thank you, Charlie. Thank you so much to Charlie for inviting me on to Critics Circle to talk about the Lehman trilogy. Remember that you can watch Critics Circle just by going to YouTube at any point. Just go to their channel, Critics Circle, and it's generally Leslie Hoban Blake and Charlie. Now, Leslie's going to be coming. She's trying to join. And to her credit, she has been trying to join for.
I'm going to post it in the chat.
Yeah, please do. Critics Circle, the YouTube channel. Now we've lost Vicki. This is weird. Leslie's been trying to log on for like the last 10 minutes. We're hoping she'll be able to join. Oh, Vicki comes back. Let's bring her back.
No, let's just have me.
Oh, David. Well, we do, and it's not just David. So we're honored every week to have David Sheward in the Daverhood.
He's the Ken Jennings of our show.
He is. He's the
always win. If this were like Jeopardy, I would be off by now.
Well, they had the Emodio guy who was on for about a month and a half, and they knocked him off. I remember him. They're getting more and more people who are. Oh, let's see. Vicki's. Let's hope. Vicki.
I think he didn't. He was tired, and he sort of threw the last game.
What?
The previous guy.
I agree completely.
Did you watch the game? I didn't see it. Was it?
It was a question about the Alps or something, and the answer, and he wrote Poland and the answer was Austria, and the Alps are not in Poland. I think he just said, "I'm tired. I got to stop."
Wow. Well, yeah,
I think. I don't know.
Made like $1.5 million. It's not as if he made a.
Yeah, no. He was probably just, I've got enough money. I'm tired of this. I'm going to rest. But maybe.
Are you talking about the guy on Jeopardy?
Yeah.
Nagamodio.
Yeah. But what's interesting is after him, there was another guy who won for like a week and a half or 2 weeks. They're getting more and more people who are getting. It's almost like Moneyball, where they're figuring out a strategy. It's like get the 2000s first.
Yeah.
And it's working for them,
Yeah.
Anyway, what's working for me is that David Sheward is here, along with Vicki Quade, in a spooky place.
And here, I stopped for Resurrection Mary.
Who is Mary wasn't resurrected. Oh, good Lord! Yeah.
Actually, Mary was not resurrection, but she was taken into heaven.
It was assumed, right?
She was assumed into heaven. Exactly.
Well, what happens when you assume you make an ass of you and Mary?
Make an ass out of God and Mary.
Exactly.
But this Resurrection Mary is a very famous local story that actually has international appeal.
Oh,
Leslie!
Oh,
Fabulous!
I should have worn a costume, but.
You're not?
A costume.
Oh, Leslie, wonderful.
He wore a costume.
Oh.
He has a costume, but I'm just wearing my. This is my thing. I love this mask. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
This is what Leslie wears in her real life, eyes wide shut, if you know what I'm saying.
I heard there was a mask mandate. What can I tell you?
Oh, thank you. Well, Leslie, you look and sound great. Not that you're wearing a mask, so therefore you look great. You just happen to look great. How you doing?
Yes, well, it's dark in here, too. I usually use my light, but also there's light from the window. It's gray outside. Sorry, I don't sound great. There we go.
Well, you're always doing yeah. So everybody's doing well.
I'm taking a frog out for you guys. What?
How are you doing, Vicki? How was your week?
Oh, good. Well, it's Halloween week, and I'm doing a Halloween comedy show, so our numbers are really good at the theater, which is great. People are coming out; they're really enjoying it. Whether that continues, that's the big question.
Of course. Well, yeah, especially as the weather changed. How's the weather in Chicago? Are you hitting winter?
Oh, it's miserable. It's going to be okay for trick-or-treating tomorrow, but it's been rainy and horrible.
Oh,
are they allowing trick-or-treating?
They are. Oh, yeah.
I'm not even sure if my building is doing that. If it is, I have to run out and get candy this afternoon and it's raining.
Oh, yeah.
I like your hair behind your ears, Vicki.
Do you like it behind my ears? It's very like 5th grade,
I like it. It just
next week it'll be a ponytail.
I have to thank both Davids. I have to thank Dave and David very much for filling in this week. It was very helpful, and your reviews are very good. They're both up online.
I think it's boys on top, girls on the bottom. Look at that.
Joyce is saying when she sees her screen, she's got that's what I have: boys on top, girls on the bottom, which is kind of the way I like it. But
no, I have boys on the side and girls on the side.
That's what I have.
I heard
Leslie and I are on one side, and you guys are on the other.
Here we go.
I kind of like the side-by-side cuddling, but we'll get into that later. No, we won't. Let me ask you guys, do either of you, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but...
Do me a favor, ask David if the prizes you received at your school district are normal for other school districts. Please ask him.
Yeah, David, you're a teacher. Leslie, you were a teacher for a long time. I was telling the story in the first part of the show.
Work is all about school, so...
So we had a costume party just for, like, our tech people and some of our lab aides and special ed people. And yeah, well, David, you're a special ed teacher, aren't you?
Yes.
So in just our little group had a costume party by mandate of our superintendent. And so there were 3 prizes I came in 3rd for the ketchup bottle costume.
Oh, great.
And my prize was a box of goobers. Second prize was a bottle of vodka.
Oh, wow.
In the middle of a school, we weren't in actually a schooling session building. Bottle of vodka, and then the first was like a $10 bill. The first prize was.
What else you got?
And everybody got like logos.
Trip to Paris.
Yeah, that's right.
Really make you mad that you got that box of goobers. Wait a minute.
I know, right? But is that a problem? Like, David, has anybody ever brought a bottle of liquor into your school?
David?
Yeah. Oh,
no. I mean, no. Oh, that's very good.
Certainly,
That's good.
no, yeah. Leslie, what about you when you were teaching? Did anybody?
I remember we had celebrations. We would have bottles of champagne, yes, but
Okay.
it was after hours. It was after 3.
Yeah, no, this was lunchtime.
When we were celebrating an engagement or a marriage or something like that.
Do any of you have a Halloween memory of trick or treating or something? Any like when you were a child, something very fun?
Sure. Oh my goodness, yes. So I remember those horrible box costumes. Do you remember those with the hard plastic face?
Yes. It would cut your like right here. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If it like it split here, you'd have like a permanent scar. And then the fabric was so cheap, like you'd freeze outside, and if your mother happened to smoke, you might go up in flames. It was just, they were just horrible.
I remember when Boo Radley attacked me. That was scary as hell. That was terrible.
The ham.
Yeah. Well, I was Jewish, so it was a pot roast.
Our costumes were flammable. They were, they were uncomfortable.
Oh.
You wore them in sub-zero, cold weather with nothing underneath them. It's just, or coat. You were,
yes, you'd be freezing.
Coat over it.
Yeah.
I can share my son's memories better than I can share mine. Mine, I hated. I always wound up being an ugly witch, and I never wanted to be an ugly witch. I wanted to be a beautiful ballerina, and nobody ever listened to me. So mine were not happy. But for my son, whatever he wanted to do, we made it for him. My mother, myself, and I would make it for him. There were sewing machines involved. One year he wanted to be Captain Marvel, and he had a Shazam costume with it. Nothing was store bought. Nothing. One year he was a pirate, and I did not let him go trick or treating. He could go for UNICEF. I didn't want him bringing home candy. I said, I'll buy you whatever candy you want. I was always afraid of, razor blades and whatnot. But he went trick-or-treating for UNICEF. All the schools did that. And I would take him because the costumes were so great. And he was so cute. I would take him to the Museum of Modern Art. David Sheward. That it used to have a little entryway where there was a little. So he would stand next to the revolving door. This is not the new, but the old Museum of Modern Art. He would stand next to the revolving door, holding out his UNICEF box. So he got everybody to go, oh, isn't that? Oh, so he got that. Noctis he got, and money for the children he got, and then all the candy he wanted when he got home. He never complained. He always said he had a good time. So I'm hoping, please God, he wasn't lying.
Never complained to your face. That's it.
Right. All right, now guys,
I'll ask him at Thanksgiving, and he'll tell me, I hated you.
No, I want to get to the game. I do want to get to the Today, Yesterday trivia game. Not to rush you guys, but I do want to rush you because I've got our guest, Ken Ludwig, the playwright, coming out.
Oh, great.
Oh, yes.
So,
goodness.
Yeah, he's not joining us for the quiz, though. He's just going to be talking to Rabbi
Let's
Saul.
go.
So let's
All right.
Today, Yesterday, you know the rules. Each question is worth 2 points. There's 3 rounds. Blah, blah, blah, blah. Let's just go. All right. But I do need to ask. Let's see. Vicki, you're still kind of the newbie. So I'm going to
ask. I want to say this is my, let's see,
remember
12th or something.
Yeah. What's a number from 1 to 6?
Ooh, I'm going to do the David Sheward. I'm going to say 3.
Vicki, 3. Okay, and Leslie, are you gonna go with your usual spots?
I'm gonna go with 6. It's been as good for me as anything.
All right. 3 and 6.
See.
4.
It's a 3-hour show.
4.
David Sheward. Okay, here
It
we
had
go.
to be 4 too. It had to be 4 too. I think about taking 2, so you didn't have that choice.
Here,
It would have been 1 or 4, right?
I've got the die rolling. It doesn't make a noise today.
Wait, I have a question.
Sure.
If you land on 5, it's in between 4 and 6.
Then I have to roll again.
Then you have to roll again.
Yeah. So, but this time I
or
did
David
not.
and I have to go in the mud pit and fight it out, one or the other.
In masks. So I rolled on actually a number 2. So I've got to have my pants clean now. But number 2 is closest to Vicki. Vicki, do you want to go first, second, or third?
I'll go first.
Wow, Vicki. Okay.
Wow.
Rolling again. Again with a number 2, which is second closest to David. David, do you want to go second or?
I'll go second.
David second. Leslie, would you like to go third?
Do I have? No, I want to go 6th. Actually, you have to ask everybody twice, and then I get to go.
Yeah. Or Well,
All right, our first question goes to you, Vicki Quade.
Right.
The year was 1938, because all these questions pretty much have things that happened on this day in history, October 30th.
We're starting in 1938. Good Lord.
Yeah. I don't
Good.
know why I went backwards and forwards sometimes on the dates this time.
Oh,
That's fine.
It was a very good
Listen
year.
up.
No, it wasn't actually. 1938, the granddaddy of all media hoaxes, Orson Welles' War of the Worlds, is broadcast on the radio, though the level of panic it engendered has probably been exaggerated. What hasn't been exaggerated is the number of voiceover gigs Welles took later on just to pay the bills. Among movies narrated by Orson Welles, are all of these except which? A, Is It Always Right to Be Right? B, Bugs Bunny Superstar? C, A Horse Called Nijinsky? D, Freud, The Secret Passion?
What's the first one?
First one is It Always Right to Be Right?
Ooh. And okay, and then the last one was Nijinsky.
When there was A Horse Called Nijinsky, Freud, The Secret Passion, or Bugs Bunny Superstar.
I don't know, but I'm going to say Freud, The Secret Passion.
Is that your final answer?
It is.
It's upside down, honey.
Well, you are certainly not brain fried this morning. That is the correct answer. Vicki Quade,
Total
you are
guess.
forward.
Total guess.
wow.
That is an actual movie, by the way. It was narrated by its director, John Huston. So it was not by, and by the way, Always Right to Be Right was an animated Oscar-winning short film. And then B, Bugs Bunny Superstar. You probably knew this one, David. That was
I knew that one.
Yes.
Oh, wow. And then what was the last one? It was a document, A Horse Called Nijinsky. It was about a horse. Yeah. Yeah.
Was the
David,
Freud
how
one?
long is it going to? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask the Freud one. That was the one with Montgomery Clift.
I am not sure. It's a
I'm pretty
biofilm.
sure it was.
I
Yes.
think it's not a. I think it was not a documentary, but an actual drama.
It was an
Biofilm. I'm
but
sorry. Yes.
there were voiceover snippets of things from his diary and whatnot. I have to ask David, how long do you think it's going to be before you break that new one? Before the new one looks like the old one.
Well, see, the more.
No, don't try it. I'm not asking you to break it.
I'm not going to try it, Leslie. But here's the deal: like, if everybody gets questions right, I end up using it less. So so it could last longer.
So it's our fault. If it breaks, it's our fault. Okay, got it.
So Vicki's on the board with 2 points. Well done, Vicki. But our next question goes to Dave, who can now tie her.
Okay.
Question right. The year
That doesn't sound right.
1945. Well, that's
Tie with her.
We watched the baking show. That was not good.
No,
We got
1945.
all our hopes up there for a second. Go ahead, what? Sorry.
Jackie Robinson signed with the Brooklyn Dodgers, David, and breaks Major League Baseball's color barrier. Which of these is not true about the borough of Brooklyn?
Okay.
A, in very cold weather, the Brooklyn Bridge rises up to 3 inches. B, of all the boroughs in the New York City Marathon, Brooklyn takes the longest to run. C, the Brooklyn Dodgers were originally called the Brooklyn Trolley Dodgers. Or D, Tootsie Rolls were invented in Brooklyn.
Tootsie Roll?
All right. So which of those is not true?
Which of these is not
Tootsie
true?
Roll, which is false, which is fake.
Okay. The thing about the Trolley Dodgers is true. That's why they're called the Dodgers.
Whoa.
Let's see. So that leaves. It's the longest thing in the marathon. Tootsie Rolls were invented there. Or what was the first one?
In very cold weather, the Brooklyn Bridge rises up to 3 inches.
I don't know enough about construction or engineering to know if that's true or not. And the Tootsie Roll, I think it was, and the longest. Is Brooklyn the longest? I think it's Staten Island is the longest. Which of these is not true?
Which of these is not true about Brooklyn?
So the running of the marathon, the bridge, or the Tootsie Roll. The marathon, the bridge, or the Tootsie Roll.
Or the Brooklyn Trolley Dodgers.
Yeah. Well, I think that's true. I'm pretty sure that's true. So it's what's false. So it's what's false.
Which one is false?
That the Brooklyn is the longest to run through in the marathon. I'll say that's not true.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
I'm going to do this very delicately, Leslie. Yes.
Like
I'm so
fairy
glad.
toes running up and down.
Regular Lionel Hampton.
Thank you. Well, I'm very glad to have jogged your memory about the marathon, David Sheward. That is the correct incorrect answer. Well done, David.
Oh, okay.
Brooklyn is actually the shortest to run in the marathon.
And that was A, B, or C, A, B, C, or D?
That was B.
B, okay.
Yeah, and Brooklyn is shortest because of its flat terrain. You're not going up and down hills and things like that.
And you'd never put in that I was born in Brooklyn. That should have been one of your questions.
Ah.
Okay.
Is it true or false that Leslie Boyd was?
My sister was born in Brooklyn.
I don't remember. They took me away before I could speak.
Oh.
The gypsies ferried me away to Manhattan before I could speak.
And I do want to tell everybody, just for trivia's sake, the cables on the Brooklyn Bridge expand and contract, so the bridge actually can go up to like 3 inches when it's really, really freezing.
Oh,
Go figure.
That's an amazing feat of engineering, considering it was built in like 1906 or something, right? 1892, whatever. What year was it built, David?
I don't have that.
I think it was the 1890s because I remember the 100th anniversary.
Yeah.
100th anniversary.
John Roebling. I remember it was John Roebling, but that is an amazing thing to be able to do in that time, you know.
And sorry, please.
No, he died. And I think his wife finished her engineering degree and she took over.
Oh, I don't know.
Somebody wrote a play about Mary Roebling. Do you remember that play, David? I saw it off Broadway years ago.
No.
It was a play about Mary Roebling finishing the bridge.
And Laura Petrie referenced that on an episode of the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Oh no!
Really? The fact that Mary did it, not the play.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
she
okay.
said.
All right.
She said, Rob, I want to help you with when you're sick with the Alan Brady show, just like Mary Roebling did with her husband. And Rob said, "What are you talking about, Laura?"
There was an episode in Drunk History as well.
Yeah. And actually, people have asked me if I like Roebling, and I've said, I don't know, I've never Roebled. But you know,
that's a Kipling.
Well, I have something to live up to now. Come on, I'm third in line, and I haven't gotten.
Come on, Leslie.
Right.
Oh,
name check Dick Van Dyke, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
great.
Are you going to paint his hair white or leave it the way
It looks like he's smoking a cigarette.
Oh, that's my pen.
He did too much, far too much. Yes.
By the way, just an FYI, Tootsie Rolls were invented by a nice Jewish boy named Leo Hirschfeld in Brooklyn.
Hold them up again.
Okay, one more time with me. Oh, Joyce wants to take a picture of me and my dick. Here we go. Let me hold my dick next to me. This dick is so long, I can't even. Hold on.
Rob,
You're gonna get thrown off the air for this, you know.
Okay.
It actually looks like Mark Zuckerberg, unfortunately.
no, it doesn't.
Oh.
No, it looks like
No,
Dick
it
Van
doesn't.
Dyke.
It doesn't.
It's easy to
We are
get
now
because my
officially
dick
in
is
the
so soft.
metaverse. It's okay.
All right, here we go. Let's get on with
Leslie's
the
question.
game. Next question goes to Leslie. Now, Leslie can tie the game, which is now co-led by Vicki and David. Leslie,
Yes.
we go all the way
Yes.
back to 1857.
Oh, now you do that. Thank you so much.
But it's not,
Okay.
you know it, the year doesn't matter in these things most of the time. 1857, born today in France, is neurologist Georges Albert Edouard Brutus Gilles de la Tourette, who served as the namesake for Tourette's, a syndrome that is a condition of vocal and motor disorders marked by various tics.
Yes.
Which of these is not true about tics?
About ticks, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
Of course.
One breed of ticks can cause humans to develop an allergy to red meat. B, one of the best essential oils to kill ticks is made of oregano. C, when a tick smells blood, its legs extend by reflex. Or D, ticks are born with 6 legs, but then grow 2 more.
What? Wait, six ticks?
6 ticks, 6 ticks.
No, that was variety. That was Nick Six Pick. Yes. All right.
Rap version.
I think that's going to be a new musical, The Kinsey Six.
Can you please do those again? Because I'm
Sure.
so not knowing any of this.
Now, all of these are true about ticks except
Except,
one.
okay.
One is a lie.
You
What
have
is
to
that?
help me now. Come on, you have to help me now. All right.
One breed of ticks can cause humans to develop an allergy to red meat. B, one of the best essential oils to kill ticks is made of oregano. C, when a tick smells blood, its legs extend by reflex. Or D, ticks are born with 6 legs, but they grow 2 more.
I don't know why, but every time you say when they smell blood, their legs extend, my whole body goes into shock. There's something about that image that's so horror movie. Okay. So it must be true in that case because of that. I know one is true for sure. I'm not going to say which one because I'm trying to hold on to my non-lead here. I have no idea. It's going to be a total. I don't think it's possible to grow another leg. I mean, like they have little pods and then I don't know. I'm going to say that they're born with. Are ticks in the arachnid family? Am I allowed to ask that question?
You're allowed to ask, but I can't really. I'm not going to give it away whether it's true.
Because arachnids are 8-legged creatures. I don't know whether ticks have 8 legs or 6 legs. They're insects. That's all I know. I don't know which group.
I'm not going to answer that. I'm sorry.
Okay, you're not going to. You can't. All right. Either way. So I'm going to go with that one because I honestly don't know if it's possible to grow new legs. Please let it be legs. Okay.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, it's going to be can't grow extra legs.
Oh, Leslie, I'm afraid you ticked the wrong box on that one. They are arachnids, and they do come out with 6.
Oh, you weren't allowed to tell me that one. Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry about this. Otherwise,
I didn't know. I didn't realize that that was cheating. I wasn't trying to cheat. It was an honest question.
Here's what is it? It rolled a 2 again. All right, it rolled a number 2, which means that Vicki Quade gets to
go for it, Vicki.
Steal.
All right. I'm going to say oregano, the answer that has oregano in it.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, I could call you Vicki or I could call you Herb, but that is not the correct answer. So
I knew that's the only one I knew that was true. Was
oregano. Darn it.
So
I could have said it out loud. I didn't. Sorry.
It's either it was that they developed an allergy to oregano. Was that it?
I'll read them. One breed of ticks can cause humans to develop an allergy to red meat.
Oh, red meat.
Yeah, or when a tick smells blood, its legs extend by reflex.
And that was A or
C.
A or C?
C.
Okay, all right. So it's either a certain thing you can develop an allergy to red meat, or when a tick smells blood, their legs extend. Right. So which of those is false?
Exactly.
I think that their legs could expand when they sense blood, since that's their life force. I'll go with the one about red meat being false.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, David, I'm always pleased to meet you, but I have stumped the panel today with this one. Here's the deal. Ticks don't smell blood. They don't smell anything. No, they don't smell blood. They smell carbon dioxide. So they sense that coming off of humans, and they have these weird olfactory things in their legs. So when their legs, sense carbon dioxide around, that's what they actually smell. So that is not the truth. I stumped the panel. Sorry, David, you're still not on the board.
So it's a diversion to red meat.
Leslie's
not on the board.
Sorry, Leslie.
No, I'm 0. I'm goose egg. But the answer then is red meat, right?
Wait.
No, the answer is the legs extending.
The legs extending. Okay, the one that
legs extend when it smells carbon dioxide, not
the one that grossed me out.
Yeah, there you go. Okay,
but the question is which one wasn't true. So which one wasn't true?
That's not true.
It's not true because they can't smell blood.
Okay, okay, I got it now. Sorry.
Yeah, no
I misunderstood.
We get into.
Oh God, it's early.
I know. When we do this at 11, you're more on.
What time is it in Chicago? Is it still our time?
No. 9:30.
Hey, what time is it going to be in 2 weeks, Vicki? Does it turn into 2 hours difference, or
for everybody, right?
Spring forward, fall back.
Right, spring forward, fall back. So so you gain an hour of sleep.
Yay!
When do we do it?
That's not this weekend, but I think next weekend. So, okay, let's get on to round 3 of our Today Yesterday here on Dave's Gone By.
We're only at round 2.
I'm sorry,
Round two.
See, I need more sleep myself. Round two of the Today Yesterday quiz on our 822nd episode. We're calling it Big Wig because Ken Ludwig will be joining us in just half an hour to talk to Rabbi Solomon. But right now, we've got Vicki and David tied at 2 in our Today Yesterday trivia game. This next question goes right to Vicki Quade. Are you ready, Vicki?
I am.
The year was 1940. Before its official release in mid-November, the movie One Night in the Tropics gets a world premiere in Paterson, New Jersey. It's the hometown of Lou Costello, who co-stars with Bud Abbott in their screen debut. They go on to make more than 36 films together, including all but one of these, which is not an Abbott and Costello film. A, Abbott and Costello in Hollywood. B, Abbott and Costello Meet the Keystone Cops. C, Abbott and Costello on the Moon. D, Abbott and Costello Meet Captain Kidd.
I used to watch all those movies. Oh my God, I loved them. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and they did meet Frankenstein. I remember that. Abbott and Costello. Okay, it's Captain Kidd on the moon, goes to Hollywood. What was the last one? The fourth one?
All right, wait. There was Abbott Costello in Hollywood, Abbott Costello Meet the Keystone Cops, Abbott Costello on the Moon, and Abbott Costello Meet Captain Kidd.
I'm going to say Keystone Cops.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, I'm afraid that's kind of a cop-out, Vicki Quade. That is not the correct answer. The Keystone Cops is an official Abbott and Costello comedy. I'm going to roll the die. It might not come up 2 again. No offense to the... Okay, we have a direct number 4.
Okay.
Which is David Sheward directly. David, you can steal this question. I'm sure you've seen all these movies bunches of times when you were a kid.
No, not really.
Oh.
I was never a fan that much, except when they did, the Abbott and Costello cartoon version where they were both mice.
Oh.
And I didn't understand, Anyway, and a Tale of Two Kitties with them in it was the debut.
Your light is going out, David.
Oh, no, it's just there we go.
We'll give them a few more years, Leslie.
All right. I know that D is true. Abbott and Costello Meet Captain Kidd because Charles Lawton played Captain Kidd. He must have needed money. And so that leaves Abbott and Costello in Hollywood or Abbott and Costello in the Moon. I think it's Abbott and Costello in Hollywood. Is not. Is that your final answer?
Yes. Well, maybe Hollywood, but you wouldn't. I'm afraid that is not the correct answer, David Sheward. So,
Leslie, come on, Leslie.
You can get on the board. You got a 50-50.
So I have the moon, or what's left is the moon or
Captain Kidd.
Captain Kidd.
And I just.
Oh no, I know Captain Kidd. I agree with David 100% that there was a Captain Kidd. So they're on the moon.
Is that your
by
final
process
answer?
of elimination on the moon, yeah.
Well, Leslie, you are a lunatic. That is the correct answer. Well done. Hollywood, they never showed on Channel.
Thank you, David Sheward.
But they did do an Abbott and Costello in Hollywood. It was I don't think I've ever seen it.
Abbott and Costello in Hollywood?
Yeah. It has a Hollywood story and stuff.
Joan and Jackie Collins.
I didn't tell you how much I like your pumpkins in the background. They're great. Your backdrop, Vicki, is so great.
Spooky.
But did Abbott and Costello? Are you going to explain? Because
No,
Abbott and Costello, there was a movie where they went into space.
There is an Abbott and Costello.
That's not on the moon. That's the space.
Abbott and Costello go to Mars.
Oh, that was it. Okay, because I know there was one where they went somewhere in outer space. Okay.
Yeah. Abbott and Costello go in Uranus.
So I'm on the board. Okay.
This is very bad.
Okay.
Abbott and Costello have Venus and they didn't. Anywho, all right. Let us go. By the way, we have a tie game. Vicki, Leslie, and David all with 2 points.
At last.
David.
Yes.
Now gets our next question, so you can take the lead here.
All right.
1967 was the year. Released today by RCA is Dolly Parton's first single. A hit on the country charts, it's actually a duet with her mentor, Porter Wagoner, on a folk song that would also appear on their first album together in 1968. Was that song A, Tom Paxton's The Last Thing on My Mind, B, Phil Oakes's There But for Fortune, C, Pete Seeger and Lee Hayes's If I Had a Hammer, or D, Bob Dylan's Don't Think Twice, It's All Right?
No, this is not my category at all. All right. So this is her first single, but it was with Porter Wagner.
It was a duet with Porter Wagner.
Duet with Porter Wagner. Okay, so the choices are, so just give me the titles.
Sure. The Last Thing on My Mind, There But for Fortune, If I Had a Hammer, Don't Think Twice, It's All Right.
I don't think it's If I Had a Hammer. She may have recorded it. I don't think it's If I Had a Hammer. For some reason, I think it's the Last Thing on My Mind. And we haven't had an A yet. We've had a D, a B, and 2 C's. So I think it's A.
Is that your final answer?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. First thought, best thought on your mind, David Sheward. That is I had no idea that Tom Paxton, who's a friend of the Daverhood, wrote the first song that Dolly Parton released as a single. So yay, well done, David Sheward. 2 more points to you. You are leading in the game. Dangerous man, David Sheward. Today, yesterday.
We can do it.
Yes,
the ladies.
Yes, ma'am.
Ladies have their shot here because coming up is Leslie Hoban Blake's question to finish our second round. Are you ready, Leslie?
As much as I'm going to be, yes.
Okay. 1974 was the year, October 30th, following a 25-12 season with the World Series champion Oakland A's, which catfish hunter is named winner of the American League Cy Young Award. Okay.
What do we know about catfish?
Yes, which of these is not true about actual catfish?
What about catfish?
I used to catch them when I was a child.
Really?
Off the dock in White Meadow Lake, I used to catch catfish.
Well, let's
Other
see
than that, I
what
don't
you know.
Go ahead. I know nothing about them. They tasted
We'll find
good.
out which of these is not true. Which of these is false about catfish? A, those whiskers on the end of a catfish's mouth are called barbels. B, one small species of catfish is a parasite that has a reputation for swimming into human urethras. C, catfish, I love that face. That's a face, Leslie. Catfish live on every continent except Australia. Or D, Vietnamese catfish can be imported and eaten in the U.S., but not called catfish.
What? Wait, what?
One of these is untrue.
Falsey Bubba.
Well, the one that made the face probably has to be true because it's just so unbelievably awful, which has to do with the urethra, which I may never go into fresh water again. I'll stick with the pool. No fish at all. So the first one was the barbels. Then there was the urethra. Then there was Vietnam, but not catfish. What was the one I'm missing?
Catfish live on every continent except Australia.
Oh, I thought they were somehow American fish. I don't know why I thought that. But then again, they are freshwater fish. They're not ocean fish. So they couldn't swim to someplace else by a lake. I mean, lakes are finite things. So I'm trying to think of, although some lakes feed into rivers and then rivers feed into oceans. Oh Lord. But I don't know the things I don't know, among them catfish. Yeah. I'm going to go with the one that made me make the face, that they swim up the urethra.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, we'll get it off the table, whether it's right or wrong. At least it'll be off the table.
RESPECT. That's Urethra Franklin. No, it's not the correct answer, Leslie. It may be somewhat apocryphal, but there are stories of them, and they are kind of apparently have the reputation. A very small kind of can do that. So that is not the correct answer. I rolled the die, and the die comes up the number 1. So Vicki Quade, would you like to try and steal?
Yes, I will. Okay, so it is imported from Vietnam, but not called catfish, everywhere but not Australia, and barbels.
Right.
I don't know any of it. I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna say barbells.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, I'm glad we didn't have to wait for it because it's not right. So David Sheward, oh boy, you have 4 points. You can jump into a lead here.
All right. So my choices are that they're from Vietnam, but they can't be called catfish.
Right.
Or what was the other one?
Catfish live on every continent except Australia.
Except Australia. Now I think, they both sound very plausible. So which of them is not true? And okay, so the Vietnam one was B.
Vietnam was D. And
Vietnam was D. And what was the other one?
Catfish live on every continent except Australia is C.
The C. All right. Well, we've had 2 C's already. I don't think we're going to have 3 C's. So I'll go with D, the Vietnam.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, you can ask me when, where, or what, but don't ask me why. I've stumped you guys again. This is the deal. Yeah, it was the letter C again. The catfish can live, or they're plentiful in Australia, but they can't. There's none in Antarctica. That's one continent that they can't.
He knows your formula, David. He's not going to let you get away with it. He's in there doing that.
Well, I'm trying to see if it's well, okay.
I'm trying to see if it didn't.
I didn't. Well, I wouldn't know. I don't know.
And because they're bottom feeders and suck, only American catfish are able to be called catfish. So they call them swai or basa if they're from Vietnam or these other countries. You
that's
can
what they
sell
call
it here, but you can't call it catfish because it might have all sorts of ook in it.
My mother would never cook the damn things. My grandmother, who was a Polish farm girl, would gut them. She would put their little lungs out to dry. I don't know what the hell that was from, some Polish custom, and she would fry up the catfish.
Yes, but it was Polish, so she would call it chicken. So I mean, she was not a well woman.
What happened to the lungs?
Yeah,
I don't know. I would play with them. They were little. I mean, I was really a kid. They would. I could pop them. They would. But I don't know why she left them out.
Okay, so you were disgusted by ticks,
by urethras and ticks.
But
not by catfish lungs.
They were the lungs from my catfish. They were friendly lungs.
They were.
Yes.
This is before they invented that paper, that plastic they wrap things.
Yeah, the plastic. Before bubble
wrap. I want to hear some catfish lungs. So.
That's it. I could have made a fortune if there'd been a Shark Tank at the time, right?
Oh man.
My mother would have nothing. My mother would say, "Get those dirty fish out of here." Basically, only when my grandmother was around did we eat them.
Yeah. I guess back then you were working for scale. All right, so now we don't have a tie game.
You're starting to flounder.
That's good.
Thank you.
Joyce, yay!
And meal from some flounder.
She's got soul, I'll tell you that. Anywho, we have a game where David is leading 4 points, Vicki with 2, and Leslie with 2. So it's still anybody's game going into round 3 of the yesterday quiz. The first question will go back to Vicki Quade. Oh, it's a New York question, Vic. Go figure. That's the way these things hang out. The year was 1975. Vicki. A day after President Gerald Ford refused to give New York City a federal bailout, the Daily News ran the headline, "Ford to City, Drop Dead."
Right.
What headline did the New York Post run?
Ooh.
A, Ford, no help for New York. B, Ford, let city go broke. C, bankrupt, Ford blocks bailout. D, president punishes New York.
Oh, I don't know at all. Those are good headlines. And wait, it's the Post? Is that what we're talking about?
New York Post, yeah. Which usually has the best, wildest headlines. This time the Daily News,
The New Yorkers do have it.
Yeah, the Drop Dead, that's a famous one. I'm going to say bankrupt. Why not?
Okay. You're saying bankrupt is the only one.
That's the right one.
Well, I'm afraid I've ruptured your hopes on that particular one, Vicki. That is not the correct answer.
Darn it.
Let's roll that die. Let's see what number comes up. We have a direct number 4, which is David Sheward. David Sheward, you can really take a lead here.
All right. So I can't. Okay, so read them to me again and tell me the letters.
The ones that are available are A, Ford, no help for New York.
Okay.
B, Ford, let city go broke. Or D, president punishes New York.
Well, I think A is kind of blank. Okay, I'll skip the trying to figure it out by the letter because that doesn't seem to work. Ford, let city go broke. That sounds kind of bland for the Post. The other two are
A, Ford, no help for New York. Or D, president punishes New York.
Wait, so all three, it's...
I'm sorry. Oh,
give me all three. Give me all three.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
True or false, David? False.
A. Only one of these is true.
One is true.
What's the headline? A. Ford, no help for New York. B. Ford, let city go broke. D. President punishes New York.
Ford, no help for New York. Ford, let city go broke.
Or D. President punishes New York.
President punishes New York. Okay, I think Ford, no help for New York is kind of bland. So I don't think they would say that. So I think it's either Ford, let city go broke, or president punishes New York. And I think they want broke in the headline because that's more grabby than punishing. So I'll say Ford, let city go broke.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, I hope you get ready to break out the champagne. That is the correct answer, David Sheward. Ford, let city go broke was actually the headline.
We're used to the Post having punchy headlines, but that's because of a guy whose last name I can't remember. His first name was Vincent, and he's the one who wrote "Topless body found in headless body found in topless bar,"
as opposed to headline.
Yes, as opposed to
the topless body and headless bar.
Right, and he really was the one, and he was there for many years doing that.
Way back then,
actually, it was off that day for Ford.
And it was called Madame Defarge's. Monsieur, you come in, I chop your head off, and you get the free drink. All I do is pour it down the opening.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Oh, so Halloweeny.
That's a
so Halloweeny.
Yeah. And by the way, if people are interested, just not to toot my own horn, but if you're interested in headlines, way back more than 10 years ago, one of the guests on this show was a guy who put together a book of all the great New York Post headlines. I'm sorry, I forget his name, but you can just...
it wasn't the guy who wrote them, was it?
It wasn't Vin. It was a guy who wrote the book.
Okay. Did David, you know Vin also?
I'm sorry?
Did you know Vin also?
No.
Okay.
David, just for the record, which letter was that? That was correct.
For the record, the correct letter on that one was B.
B. Okay. All right.
And it was literally correct because that was the that was the headline.
So he's out in front again.
Oh, he's got 6 points.
By 6 points.
Each.
Real shocker, right?
So
my turn.
This question is kind of the
and now it's his turn, right? Okay. Vicki, you want to go out for a cup of coffee? We don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I'll meet you on the corner.
Yeah. 1976 was the year.
Mm-hmm.
Jane Pauley becomes co-anchor of the Today Show. Which of these is not true about that program's history?
Okay.
A. J. Fred Muggs wasn't the only monkey on the show. Sometimes they feature his girlfriend, Phoebe B. B. After negative public reaction to a leaked memo criticizing his colleagues, Brian Gumbel reconciled with Gene Shalit on the air. C. Stephen Schwartz sued the show's producers because the theme song This Is Today sounded too much like Day by Day. Or D. The show's original working title was The Rise and Shine Review.
Okay, so which of those is not true?
Correct. Which of these is false?
Which is false? They all sound good. I believe the one.
Ego, David.
What?
She's saying, yeah.
They all sound good. The one about the monkey sounds really good. I think that's true. And I wonder if that was when Estelle Parsons was on. But anyway, all right. So that's okay. So the monkey. Brian Gumbel leaked a memo criticizing people, and he made up with Gene Shalit on the air.
I think he put two of those together, didn't he? Or was that the one? Was that right?
Don't give him any help, Leslie.
And the original title was The Rise and Shine Review. And there's Rise and Shine Review. And there's one more.
Stephen Schwartz.
He sued because the theme song sounded too much like Day by Day. Now, I can't even remember a theme song. This is today. And maybe, and I don't even remember if there was a theme song. And I guess they would have put it in later because the show has been on since the 50s, and he didn't write Day by Day until like the 70s. I'll go with that one.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, and that's C, correct?
And that is letter C.
C.
Okay, yeah.
That's good enough for me. C.
Well, David Sheward, I'm afraid this is not your day because
Okay.
he did. Stephen Schwartz did sue because the show went through several theme permutations over the years. Let me roll Mr. Die, and we come up with a number 2, and that is closest to Vicki. So, Vicki, you have a shot at stealing.
Yes. All right. What was the first one?
First one was A. J. Fred Muggs wasn't the only monkey.
Right.
Sometimes BB would be featured.
BB?
Phoebe BB.
BB?
Okay. Or
BB Newirth?
B. After negative public reaction to a leaked memo, Brian Gumbel reconciled with Gene Shalit on the air. And D. The show's original working title was The Rise and Shine Review.
I'm going to say it's the Brian Gumbel because I bet he reconciled with someone else.
Wow.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Wow, you know your Shalit from Shinola. That is, you're starting to learn the workings of this idiot mind of mine, Vicki, because he did write the memo, and it did piss off Gene. I didn't really, apparently didn't piss off Gene Shalit, but he really pissed off Willard Scott, and those two reconciled on the air.
So that was B, right?
He just died.
Yeah, he just died very recently.
Willard Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
he just
recently.
died.
Yeah.
What was in the last year?
Did he
We
get
just
to
lost
100?
Vicki. What happened?
Oh,
Vicki went away.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
there-
Halloween. Halloween.
that's right.
Are you
Oh,
coming back in
okay.
a costume, Vicki?
Wait. I don't know. That's so
I can
weird.
see your icon. Maybe you hit
Yeah.
the video.
Hold
There
on.
you
Yeah,
go.
there you
Welcome
are.
back.
No,
Hi.
It was weird. I didn't do anything. So
Oh,
Did you
it's a
feel
ghost.
strange
You're
and
haunted.
and
It was
ethereal
Casper.
there for a
yeah, all of a
minute?
sudden I was gone. I was like, wait a minute.
So Willard
Yeah.
Scott, did he get to 100? And did he send himself a telegram?
He definitely got to 100. I don't know about the telegram. He did get to 100 though.
Because I wasn't sure whether he did or not.
Oh.
Great, Scott. All right, let's get on to our final question of the third round, because right now, depending on how this question goes, Vicki might be able to tie, but Leslie's may want to keep her from doing that because Leslie, this question goes directly to you.
I could tie with Vicki. I may not be able to
Come on,
tie with
Leslie.
Vicki.
No, but
Come on.
Ryan, Vicki, get
If you miss and she gets it, then she could tie with me.
Yes, exactly. Okay,
1987.
that's okay. I got it. Now we're thinking really far out the iteration. Go ahead.
The year was 1987. On this date, October 30th, released today is Faith, the debut solo album by George Michael. According to uselessdaily.com, which of these is not true about George Michael? A. After surviving a coma in 2011, Michael woke up speaking with a different accent.
Wow.
B. He was supposed to sing on the first verse of We Are the World, but his plane got in late, so he lost the spot and is just a voice in the final chorus. C. He once sang backup on a David Cassidy record. Or D. One of his grandmothers was Jewish.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Here we go.
One of these is false.
That's his grandmother.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's on the computer, yeah.
Wow.
That's a tough one, David.
Wow.
That's tough.
Oh, we didn't have any 3 clues in the news this week.
No,
I know. I was thinking that.
there's no guarantee, you know.
On your toes.
I'm going to say that one of his grandmothers was Jewish.
is not true.
Oh, wait, this is a not true?
This is
opposed to
not
it is
true. One of these is
I'm
false.
sorry, wait a minute. Okay, let me rethink this. Sorry, thinking wrong. So the A was the accent, B was missing the We Are the World, C was David Cassidy, and D was grandmothers.
Right. Grandma, yeah, one of his grandmothers.
Okay, courtesy of David's cockamamie plan. I have no idea how many of each we've done because I don't keep track, but it sounds as if.
Tell you?
No, no, thank you. It's okay.
You had 1 D, 3 B's, 3 C's, and 1 A.
Oh my Lord. Where was
Well, I was leaning toward A, but I think I actually read
You only
that
had
somewhere
1 A.
about the accent thing. No, I know that. I know.
So one of these is true or one is false?
One is false.
One of these is not true. One of these is false.
Yeah. And I think the accent thing, I actually heard that somewhere, although it does sound crazy, doesn't it? I mean, if you would do that. I'll go with A because I think D is true. I'll go with A. Thank you, David Sheward. David Sheward gave me a hint, but it may not be right, but he gave it to me anyway.
Well, you finished off that clue with an exclamation point, or at least a comma, but it's not correct. That is, that really did happen to George Michael. So let's roll the die.
Oh, I lied about that, by the way, Leslie. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I just made it. I just made it.
David, I trust you. I don't believe
you. I'm joking. What I told you is the truth.
No, this is huge. Now, Vicki, you can get to tie the game here. Oh, you are actually doing that.
Oh, you really keep it. Look at that. Wow.
Okay, we probably don't even have time for the tiebreaker. So, Vicki,
I'm going to say that he did not sing backup on a David Cassidy album.
Is that
he
your
probably sang backup on some other album? Yes.
I'm afraid that is incorrect, Vicki. You hit Cassidy, we're good friends. So, David Sheward, you have the opportunity. We've already won the game, but you have the opportunity to win it bigger.
What are my choices?
Your choices are, he was supposed to sing on the first verse of We Are the World, but his plane got in late, so he's just on the chorus. Okay. Or D, one of his grandmas was Jewish.
They both sound like they could be true. So it's B or D, right?
B or D.
Okay, I'll go with D about the Jewish grandmas.
And I've stumped you guys again. Because George Michael was on that Do They Know It's Christmas. He was strongly on that, but he wasn't on We Are the World at all. There you go. Okay. And he did wake up from a coma with a West County accent. Apparently, that happens to people. And he was on David Cassidy's song in 1985, "The Last Kiss."
All right. Well, the letter thing doesn't work at all because you had 3 B's in a row.
Because I'm doing the letter thing, David. I think of that while I'm planning these out. So it's
never should have told him about that.
That's right.
So
thank you for the hint before.
Okay, but let me tell everybody, read David Sheward in theaterlife.com, culturaldaily.com, and his blog, The David Desk. Everybody go see Holy Ghost Bingo if you're in Chicago at the Greenhouse Theater. And are you still doing Late Night Catechism during the Halloween?
Yes, and actually, yes. And then in November, it's just Late Night Catechism.
And nunsforfun.com is the website.
There's no Thanksgiving show?
Starting the day after Thanksgiving, we go into Christmas Bingo.
Oh, I see.
Okay. And Leslie Hoban Blake, watch her and Charlie Gross in Critics Circle on YouTube.
We'll watch you on the latest episode of that.
Save the tiebreaker for next week.
You can, actually, well, it's a different week. But thank you, guys. I'm sorry to rush you off, but thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Dave's gone by. I'm going to let you go. Wave, and have a wonderful week and safe Halloween.
Get some good
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
Don't report.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Leslie.
Bye.
And I have to remove myself just for a moment to get our guest ready for Rabbi Sol Solomon. Let's get the Rabbi's music going. Here's the Rabbi's music. So shalom, my friends, shalom, my enemies. Welcome, welcome. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And I am a theater lover and a lover of comedy. And boy, oh boy, when you put those two things together, what do you get but the person who is in this beautiful room before us right now? Is this, first thing I have to ask, Ken Ludwig, is that your home? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Ludwig. Unmute yourself, please. Hit the mute button because we cannot hear you. Hold it. Ken, wait. I can't. You have to unmute. Hit the mute thing there.
Aha.
Shalom, shalom. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Oh, thank God. So tell me, is that your lovely home, or are you in a library or something, or what?
This is my home. This is where I work every day. This is my study.
Good God. So was that a statue from like Lend Me a Tenner, or is that a real statue, or what?
That is a statue. The white one behind me comes from an English country house, sort of like Downton Abbey era. And I found it and I bought it and I crated it up by an antique dealer and brought it with me.
I gotta say that if I were a writer, I am a writer, but this is where I would love to write like this. What is your routine? Do you start in the morning? Do you go from like a certain hour to a certain hour every day? Or do you need to be inspired or on deadline? How do you write what you do?
Well, I write on very much a routine. I mean, I think inspired, you've got to put in the hard work and you get inspired. I don't think there's such a thing as waiting around. Being a writer is, it's not a hobby, it's a profession. And it's a profession that I take seriously the way I would take any other profession seriously. So I get up very early in the morning, I take my shower and I come down here in my study and I lock all the doors and I get down to work for the next 6-8 hours.
Oh my God. Now, do you work on one project for that time, or do you work on one play for 3 hours and then a musical for an hour, and then you have a new idea and you start doing outline, or one project you're monomaniacal?
One project, monomaniacal. I write in longhand. Often the days are longer than that. They're often 8 or 10 hours. And I look on it as my job. My dad was a doctor, as you know, probably from the play we're talking about, Dear Jack, Dear Louise. When he put in a day's work, he went to the office, he came back late in the day, he did charts for his patients. I take that seriously. When I wanted to be in the theater as a kid, my parents said, oh, you got to go to graduate school. I said, well, I don't want to. I want to go in the theater. They said, you got to go to graduate school. So I applied. I got into Harvard Law School. I went to Harvard Law School. I came out. I started, because I had no money, I started practicing law with a big law firm in DC. And sure enough, same thing. Get up in the morning, you got to go to the work and you got to put in the hours because that's your profession. And when I changed my profession to become a writer, I don't take it any less seriously and I write if I haven't spent a day writing, I say, well, what's the matter? What did I take a day off? It's not a hobby.
I say 9 to whatever, 9 to 3 or 4, 5 days a week, or 7?
7, and it's not 9. It's about 6 in the morning.
I'm sorry, right? You go till probably 1 or 2 in the afternoon. How much of your work day though then has to be spent with non-creative aspects of being a business writing, and it is your career, of dealing with your agent, of submission stuff, of writing, well, this is what I've done before, and here, please give me this grant, or what?
Yeah, that's a great question. And most people don't ask that question. Very smart. And it really is, because in a way I've got 2 jobs and I have to juggle them. When I was just a writer and I was just getting established, it was the writing, and then I'd get things done in church basements. When it became my shows started being done in commercial venues, it became a job. So right now I have an assistant, I have a manager, I have the executive director of my company, I have a publicist, and I have an agent. And so my business of having my plays available, advertised out there, that I do Zoom calls to people who are doing my shows, and lucky me, I'm lucky to have that because it's a way to get people to my shows. Traveling, I was in England last month because 2 shows are opening back to back, heading for the West End. And so it is a business. So there are some days that I don't wake up and just write all day. If I'm in a plane to New York or to London, it's different. So there is the business aspect of it, and that takes up, I'd say, as much as a quarter of my working life.
When you're, are you invited, let's say, to rehearsals to be part of it, or do they just the director have you there for the first table read and then you go away until almost like dress rehearsal time, or how much once you give something over to a director, are you there or do you step back, or does it depend on the show?
Well, it depends on where we are in the show. When it's a world premiere, meaning it's either going to Broadway or the West End or a regional theater that I love. Many of my plays just go straight to regional theaters, and I've had some that I've had long-term relationships with, where I've had 3 or 4 at the same one. The McCarter Theater has done 2, did 4 world premieres. Our Arena Stage has done 4. Alley Theater has done 4. Very involved with the Old Globe Theater in San Diego. So when it's be it Broadway or be it a regional theater, if it's the first production, meaning the first outing of this play, then I'm very, very involved, because I'm still involved in shaping the play. You know, you don't write a play. A play is a bit of a blueprint. You write the play, and then as it gets realized the first time, I have to nudge it and fix it and unch it and
unch. I love that word, unch. Yes.
That line a little longer and this one shorter, and make it funnier and make it less funny, and make sure the audience is interested. So what happens is, because when you write a play, you own the play. I am involved. I mean, you just do. It's under copyright law. You own the play. It is mine. So at that point, if a producer gets on board, the producer and I lock arms, and they'll get a percentage down the line. And then we hire a director. And then the 3 of us, the producer, the director, and I, make decisions of casting. Well, who will be the designer?
You're involved in that too, even the casting and the design.
It's my baby. It's my brainchild. I would not hand it off to somebody else and say, "Oh, you go figure that out." So surprise me on opening night. No, of course not. I'm tremendously involved. So choosing the designers, choosing the venue, choosing the actors, go to all the auditions, look at lists first to see who's coming to see us. If it's a Broadway show and it's not a matter of audition so much, it's a matter of choosing, looking at lists, talking to the casting director with my director and producer, and then we all make those choices. Then you finally get you'll do a first reading. Well, of course I'm there with the drafts and my sleeves rolled up and a pencil, and saying, "Oh, that line isn't quite right," because you don't really know it till you hear it out of someone else's mouth, and then you really don't know it till it comes out of someone's mouth at a reading, and you have an audience. Because the audience tells you everything. So when I direct my first readings of my plays, I invite about 50 people who are friends of court, just friends, or they're on folding chairs. We're in a rehearsal room. I say Arena Stage. I live in DC, so Molly Smith is always kind enough to give me some resources at her place, or Signature Theater has done that, or the Kennedy Center. So I go wherever it is, we put it on with an audience, and then I go, okay, now I'll fix the play, get it right. Now we'll go off to a regional theater or a commercial producer to do the first major production. And then I'm involved in every instant of that, every minute of that till opening night.
Wow.
Then when it's launched and it's on its way, I don't get involved in any other productions of it. It may have hundreds, usually do, thank goodness, hundreds and hundreds of productions all around the country and the world, but I don't get involved after that, because that's up to them. They just do it. It's a play and it's out there in the world.
Do you ever go? Do you get invited to, like, they're doing Moon Over Buffalo in Japan, and they want the playwright there? Do you show up, or oh, God bless you, it was great, but I'm working on something new?
I never go. I have this thing. I don't know. I've never seen any of my plays after they've opened in their big way, because it makes me feel like I'm living in the past. It's sort of an odd personal quirk. So I don't tend to do that. I do have in my mind's eye to go figure out where in Europe a lot of them were being done at the sort of the same time and go from city to city. A good friend of mine, Pete Gurney, A.R. Gurney Jr., did that with his wife, and they went and saw. So to go over to Europe and see maybe 10 different productions in 10 different languages, I have in my sights to do. I just haven't figured out when to do it.
Since you brought it up, I'm going to ask the late A.R. Gurney, do you have any cool memories, anecdotes, stories of him? I don't know the man personally, but you did, so, you know.
Well, I loved him. I have some great stories. I mean, when I had lunch with him once at the Lambs Club, I guess it was the Lambs Club, I said to him, Pete, this is early on in my career. I said, Pete, you're so prolific. How do you keep coming up with such good ideas? And he says, it's pretty easy. You find something you really like a good Henry James short story, and you steal it. You just steal the plot. You steal it, he said, and then you mask where it comes from, and you write it, and you make it your own. That's one of the tricks. And I thought that was a pretty good trick.
And have you used specifically stolen from public domain from 400 years ago in any particular play? Sure. As opposed to doing a direct, like a version of Cyrano where it's obvious, okay, this, but where you update it.
Well, once you're out of copyright, you can do what you want. So I've done adaptations of things like Baskerville's an adaptation of The Hound of the Baskervilles. It's out of copyright. So once something's out of copyright, you can do what you want. And then usually you're actually you're doing an homage to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and you're doing that. In terms of ideas I get from other plays that are now under copyright, well, we all do that all the time. Somebody famous, and it might have been Picasso. I think this is attributed to a lot of people, which is amateurs borrow, professionals steal. And you see, I read last night. I was reading some School for Scandal. I was reading Sheridan School for Scandal. It's such a great play. And I was thinking, there's certain aspects of that. That's a good setup for a comic situation for Act 2. And it's not like you're stealing. You're standing on the shoulders of the giants who came before you, and you're using their techniques and their ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, have you ever, though, since you set yourself that work day, a 50-hour, 60-hour work week of what you do you ever suffer writer's block? Or is there always something you can either steal from, or some idea, or some movie you can watch that goes bing, or look at a painting and you're like, aha?
Well, there's moments that I will be working on an idea and I'll come to a halt on the idea and I go, I don't know where to go with this. It doesn't have any resonance right now for me. It's just not working for me. So I'll put it aside. But I have so many projects. I have about 10. I keep a little list next to me of things I want to write. I mean, some of them will stay on there for a while. I had always wanted to write Pride and Prejudice Part 2. And over the pandemic, I finished it, and it's now out with a producer. I always wanted to write. I had a new idea of a series of about a woman detective called Lady Molly of Scotland Yard. Wrote it over the pandemic. I've had ideas for some new comedies that are bright and big. And I've just been, right now I'm busy because I was just commissioned to write a comic opera for the Glimmerglass Festival up in Cooperstown, New York, using Rossini music. So it's kind of like Crazy for You in the sense that taking music and I'm making a whole new story, whole new lines, whole new characters, and I'm going to weave in all this Rossini music, and I'm an opera guy, and I'm working on that like crazy right now. So there's certainly no time to be bored at the moment. Now
here's a question for you. Like you mentioned Crazy for You, or Lend Me a Tenor, or Moon Over Buffalo, or even Tom Sawyer, or one of the other. And
Fox on the Fairway.
I'm sorry?
Fox on the Fairway.
Fox on the Fairway, this I do not know. But
okay.
But that's the thing. This I do not know, and a lot of the people from New York and the East Coast would not know, because all these things happen in regional theaters. So many of your pieces, and you're thrilled. I mean, and they're world premiere. But is there a thing in you of like, well, these went to Broadway. How come this isn't playing either in a major New York off like Manhattan Theater Club, or isn't on Broadway? Does that rankle you, or do you understand why some plays get there and some don't? How's your feeling about that?
It's a great question. And there's a very honest answer. Broadway, like the West End and all these places, go through shifts in taste and what they want at a certain time. There was a period of the heyday of, say, Neil Simon and Wendy Wasserstein, where boulevard comedies were what people wanted, which was light comedies that, touched you in some ways, really made you laugh. And there were hundreds of them, and they were great. Never Too Late with Paul Ford. I'm just coming on, Sabrina Fair, The Pleasure of His Company. Before that, of course, it was, Man Who Came to Dinner, and the era before. That was a period where that kind of play was done regularly on Broadway, and it then went on and typically was made into a movie. Always happened. I hit the tail end of that with some of my plays, Lend Me a Tenor, Moon Over Buffalo. I'm trying to think the ones that have been on Broadway, the real comedies. Or Fox in the Fairway set in a golf setting. It's been really successful. And then a play called Baskerville, as I say, about based on the How to the Baskervilles, which is I think my most produced play in the world right now. And as things happen, they all start to then, the new thing now is a lot of things start in the regionals and then they get to Broadway. So the play that we're talking about right now, Dear Jack, Dear Louise, or Why We're Here, right now has a Broadway producer, very serious. We have a Broadway star for the woman. We're looking for the guy. And we plan to open next fall on Broadway. Now,
this is breaking news. I didn't know this was out there. Oh, we're breaking news with that. So can you say who the woman is yet? Or
I can't. She's happy to have it known, but it hasn't been announced by the producer, and it will be very soon. And it looks really good. You never know with Broadway. It's always 50-50. Will it happen? Won't it happen? When you only know when the curtain goes up. When the curtain goes up, you know that it happened. This looks good. And it's because somehow producers thought this was right for the times. There's been so much upheaval in our theater in the past few years that different plays seem to be what Broadway wants to do. And not only doesn't it bother me, I've always felt that when people ask me, what about is there a national theater in the United States? If you go to England, you go to the West Bank and there's the South Bank, and there's the National Theater, that big, large edifice of poured concrete that has the Olivier and the Littleton and all those wonderful theaters. If you go to other places in Germany and Eastern Europe, and there's a National Theatre of Scotland. The National Theater of the United States is this. It is that network of 400 or 500 regional theaters throughout the United States. There are that many. Every state. I work in them all the time. You go down to Florida. I just had a big show at the Oslo. You go to in Idaho. You go to Kansas City. There's the New Theater. You go to Princeton, New Jersey, and there's the
Carter's in Princeton, right?
Carter, and then there's the Old Globe out in the West, and there's La Jolla, and there's Center Theater Group, and on and the Arkansas rep, Indiana rep, Seattle rep, Alabama Shakespeare Festival, Chicago Shakes, and they go on and on to the point of 400 or 500 theaters. That's to say nothing of all the amateur theaters around the country, community theaters.
Right.
In the United States, that's a very strong movement of tremendously capable and do fine productions with people who love the theater. They don't have equity cards. It's why it's called, it's amateur in the sense they don't have equity cards. And then there's all the high schools, the thousands
and the colleges. Yes, absolutely. It's a huge... so that is national, as opposed to, I'm sure you remember Tony Randall trying to make a national actors theater that unfortunately did some fine work, but it just didn't happen.
One building, and he said, well, I'll call that the National. It was the Lyceum or something, I think.
Might have been, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, that was a noble, and he did some very good things there. But it seems to me what our national theater in the United States is that conglomeration of all these wonderful people and theaters and families who are working every day to put out great theater. And my plays are done in that national theater every day of the year. There isn't a day of the year that my plays aren't produced there.
Now, speaking of things getting produced and done, you've also worked in other media. So I'm going to ask a little bit about that. Did you actually do like the first draft of the Muppet movie?
I did. I did that for Disney. I did it with Frank Oz. This was the redo. This was after, they'd had that whole, and then like a 20-year hiatus or 10 or 20, whatever it was. And they decided they wanted to put the Muppets back on the map. And that was by the time Disney had acquired them. And so Frank, as an old friend, called me and said, let's do the new Muppet movie together. And we did. And of course, it was put on the shelf to start with. Every movie I've done for Hollywood first gets put on the shelf because that's what they do. They commission thousands of movies every year. That's where
they make 20,
yeah.
So when you saw the Muppet movie, when it came out, how much could you reckon and go, I wrote that and that part, I didn't write. And could you watch it objectively as a film? Or did you feel like, my script was better. They should have left it the way it was?
Oh, you always feel that. I also did Roger Rabbit, I might add. I did a sequel to Roger Rabbit Roger Rabbit for Kathleen Marshall and Frank Marshall and Kathleen Kennedy. And for the original director. And again, they didn't really want to make, I think, a second one. The first was so brilliant, but they kept trying to make a second one. And the second one I wrote was great. And it's sitting in my study somewhere, and it's also sitting in some drawer in Hollywood. But
let me ask you, or is there going to be a point when you will publish and make available? Because I always wonder about playwrights. Always they get compendiums, their works last, but so many playwrights make their money, big money in Hollywood, and they got screenplays sitting in drawers. Nobody ever sees them. Would you publish everything at one point, or give it to a library and say, hey, you want to read the screenplay I wrote for Roger Rabbit? It's real good,
Well, I've been approached by a very fine library to acquire my archive. And in putting that archive together, they will create a room, I guess, for my work. And hopefully part of the deal will be that they'll publish these works or make them available to the public. So yes, absolutely.
Because, you spend hours and hours writing these things that don't even get done, but you put the work in, and some of that may be your best work. And it's just like, nobody, the film never gets made. I find that just like, just on a personal level.
Absolutely.
Speaking of things that didn't get kind of made, although I guess a pilot was done, did you also do a pilot TV series or start one with Carol Channing? Please tell me some stories about this. Tell me, because she's been on this show before she died. So tell me a Carol Channing story.
Oh, Carol Channing and I were so close. I love Carol, and we were great friends. And Carol, it all started when Carol wanted me, she got a hold of Lend Me a Tenor early on, and she wanted me to make it about her. She wanted it to be, she'd be the star of Lend Me a Tenor, and it would be a soprano coming, and she'd be Aida or Carmen or something. And so she wanted me to change that. I didn't think it would be as good that way, so we ultimately didn't do that. It was, I think that's when I really got to know her and we became friends. And she was always touring, and she always lived in hotels. The remarkable thing about Carol was I'd tease her because she'd come and she'd stay at the Watergate. I live in DC. She'd stay at the Watergate, and I'd say, and if I wanted to come have lunch with her, I'd go to her suite, and she always had her own special food, little silver canisters, because she felt she was she had to be immune. She thought she had get the possibility of getting hives or this or that or the other thing. She was allergic, she thought, to this, that, and the other. So anyway, so she'd have her own food. We'd go there. So we became very, very close. She came over to our house one time when my daughter was little. My daughter was about 4 years old, and my daughter proceeded to crawl up behind her to be funny and pulled her wig off. Uh, we didn't know how Carol would take that, but in fact, Carol being Carol, she took it in great humor and laughed and put her wig back on, and we were a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. I knew her husband very well, and so they commissioned me to, every time I had a show that was a hit on Broadway, somebody commissioned me to do something in Hollywood. So they commissioned me to do a pilot TV series starring Carol. And I wrote it. And of course, like all these things, one of a million pilots, it gets put in a drawer and doesn't get done. And you go out there knowing that. That's why I don't write very much for Hollywood. They pay you a lot of money. And you do say to yourself, well, you got to pay the bills. And if they're going to pay you so much money, and even if it's going to go in a drawer, it's something to keep the wolf from the door.
Yeah, I mean, and you're the one with a work ethic of like, it's a job, 9 to 5 or 6 to 9, and might as well. So if it goes in a drawer, somebody's paying me to sit there at a computer. All right.
I feel like what I do, I feel responsible, having come from a family. If you see Dear Jack, Dear Louise, and you meet my father there, is that he took being a dermatologist very seriously. It was a profession. So it's more that I have a profession and I work at my profession. I wouldn't do a pilot or a movie if I thought it had no possibilities. I wouldn't write something that I knew was going to go in a drawer. But when you're in Hollywood, it's likely that it's not going to be done. So I wrote a pilot for Carol, and she was the sheriff of a town in modern day, but it was set in the Midwest, where she could really call the shots about what went on in the town. I wrote the first episode. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in this house. It's very funny.
Did they make the pilot episode, or the script just didn't even? Oh man. No. Now let me also ask you, and before first let me ask you to make sure, because we keep mentioning Dear Jack, Dear Louise, but I haven't. Shame on me, I haven't told people that you can go see this play at the George Street Playhouse. It's playing now through November 21st. There's the program for it. It's in Livingston, New Jersey. So go. It's easy to get to. Go see it. The audience is masked? Do you have to wear it? And what's the protocols over there?
I'm going up to see it later in the run. I assume they are masked. I know David Saint, who is the artistic director and is the director of this show. He's terrific. And he would be on top of every protocol. Aside from being a real genius as an artist, he's very responsible, and he runs the theater extremely well. So I'm sure it's safe. I have no doubt whatsoever. I've been to a lot of theater since we reopened up. I had to go to England because I have these shows happening there, and I went to a lot of theater, and it really felt like the world is opening up again that way. So I felt very safe.
Halavai. But let me also, we haven't really, you keep mentioning that, the show's about your dad. The show's tell us, what is Dear Jack, Dear Louise about? The elevator pitch. Let's hear it.
Elevator pitch is easy. My mother was a woman who, during World War II, was a youngster, and she was 21 years old, and she grew up in Brooklyn, and she came from a Jewish family that her dad was a tailor, and they lived close enough to New York that she was exposed to Broadway, and she decided at the age of 21 she wanted to be a Broadway showgirl. So she leaves school, she starts taking tap dancing lessons, singing lessons, starts auditioning, and lives at one of those stage door canteen type places with what are later become very famous people. But they were all the kids trying to make it at Broadway, on Broadway. Meanwhile, at the same time, there's this fellow who lives in Coatesville, Pennsylvania, named Jack Ludwig. And Jack Ludwig came also through Ellis Island, also from the Eastern European world, fleeing the pogroms, also comes to the East Coast of America and comes through Ellis Island, but his group of family goes to the Philadelphia area, and he ends up in little Coatesville, Pennsylvania. His father does, and his father is also a tailor. So these two tailors somehow must have known each other. The Rabbiners and the Ludwigs. So the Rabbiners and the Ludwigs, somewhere along the line, those two grandpas say, you know what? Those are my grandfathers. They say, you know, your son ought to meet my daughter. Your daughter ought to meet my son. She's a good-looking girl. The trouble was, at that point, my father had just finished medical school. He put himself through medical school by working in the steel mills they were called, what were they called? Coatesville, the Lucan Steel Mill. Lucan Steel had a big plant in Coatesville, Pennsylvania. Put himself through college and through medical school. He gets out of medical school, he gets drafted, and he's sent all the way out to Medford, Oregon, 3,000 miles away, to take care of the wounded coming in from the Pacific Theater. So he's out there in Medford, Oregon. She's in Brooklyn. They're 3,000 miles away. Their parents say, you two should know each other. So they start writing letters to each other. And the story of the play is entirely told in their letters, because for years, they wrote letters to each other all throughout the war.
So, and speaking of stealing, again, Pete Gurney did a very famous play that was epistolary in nature.
Absolutely.
You adapted into the story of your own background, of your own family. See?
Love Letters, a wonderful play. And actually, it was Pete's play that I first was going to think of doing this differently. Maybe my mom would get married and go out to the West Coast and be, you know, sort of like I Love Lucy, causing havoc in the barracks. And then I thought, well, no, that would take 10 actors and this and that and the other. What about an epistolary play? What about 2 characters? And then I thought of Pete's play. I reread Pete's play. It's a wonderful play. And so I thought, oh, that's a good idea. There aren't too many plays based on letters in our canon. There's another one, Dear Liar, which are the letters of George Bernard Shaw and Mrs. Patrick Campbell.
And Les Liaisons Dangereuses, is that a letter, or is just a letter novel that they adapted into a play? I'm not sure.
A novel that was epistolary, and they made it into a regular play.
Okay. I'm just showing off that I know some of these things. That's all. I'm just boasting. But by the way, we're talking with Ken Ludwig. If you have a couple more minutes, I would love to ask you a couple more questions. Because
I have two, because I have a meeting in about 15 minutes.
Okay, so, but since you mentioned the Jewishness of your family, first of all, does Jewishness play, because you don't write Neil Simon-y, ethnic-y kind of Jewish people generally. But does Judaism in any way, or cultural Judaism, factor into the way you write, the jokes you make, the humor, or the life of your characters?
I think it does, and I think it does in a very real way, but I think it's more sub rosa. I think it's in terms of the rhythms I write in. I'm used to hearing them. I grew up in the same world that Neil Simon grew up in, and people who wrote in that style. But I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania, not in New York or LA, so I was not exposed to the relentlessness of being in a Jewish community. So I didn't just write out of, our local deli was filled with all those great accents and those great rhythms. But I found that I wanted to write about the small communities that I lived in. So as growing up, so my first big commercial success, Lend Me a Tenor, is set in Cleveland, Ohio, where there's an opera company. I was always an intellectual kind of a guy. I loved opera. I still do. I'm writing an opera for Glimmer Glass, and I like the idea of, and the plays that I admired over the years growing up were an intellectual group of plays. I'm a big Shakespeare guy. I've written. I wish I had a copy close by.
You wrote a book on how to teach Shakespeare, didn't you?
I wrote a book called How to Teach Your Children Shakespeare, which was named the best Shakespeare book of the year. And it's a really good book. Its real title is How to Teach Yourself Shakespeare, because everybody's afraid of Shakespeare. So it's how to teach yourself Shakespeare.
Speaking, all right, elevator pitch again. What is like one great tip that you would tell people if they have to tackle Shakespeare? They want to tell the kid or a school teacher in 5th grade wants to do a little Shakespeare in the classroom. What is your advice?
Take a small passage of 4 to 6 lines, that's all, and memorize them. To memorize them, you need to know every single word in that passage. You have to understand what the passage means, who's talking, so you really understand it. And then memorize it cold, when Viola, the heroine of Twelfth Night, goes to woo Olivia, the most beautiful countess that ever lived. The countess says, well, why should I listen? What if you loved me? She says she's coming there to woo Olivia for her boss. She says, well, if you loved me, what would you do? And Viola answers, make me a willow cabin at your gate and call upon my soul within the house. Write loyal cantons of contemned love and sing them loud even to the very night. Halloo your name to the reverberate hills and make the babbling gossip of the air cry out, oh, Olivia! Oh, you would not rest between the elements of air and earth, but you would pity me.
Yeah.
Now, when she says that to Olivia, what happens? Olivia falls in love with her.
Understandable. My God, I fell in love with you a little bit there. I'm a straight person, but oh my God, yes.
So you want to learn some Shakespeare, and this is what this book does. It takes you through short passage, and they get a little longer and tells you which, and learn what they mean and what their context is, who's saying what, and memorize that passage. And I did that with my kids. That's how I developed this whole thing when they were youngsters. And by the time my daughter went to college, she knew 1,000 lines of Shakespeare. She could just rattle them off because they become second nature. And so they become part of who you are as a writer and as a reader and as a scholar and as an interesting person. Yeah.
And by the way, this interesting person that, alas, we have to let go in a minute or two. But first of all, this interesting person that we've been talking to is Ken Ludwig. First of all, go see Dear Jack, Dear Louise. It's playing at the George Street Playhouse in Livingston, New Jersey from now through November 21st. Go see. It's all about his dad and his mom and how they incongruously met, although you do spin a yarn there. Because they're both Taylor. Anywho, so yes. But last question and by the way, KenLudwig.com. KenLudwig.com is the place to please, yes.
www.kenludwig.com. Ludwig, I pronounce it Ludwig for what it's worth.
Training your daughter in Shakespeare and getting her ready for life in that way. We can tell that you went to Harvard. Tell us a Harvard story. And also, one of your teachers was Leonard Bernstein.
One of my teachers was Leonard Bernstein. He was there preparing the Norton lectures, and he put up a sign and he said, any student who wants to come in and show me their compositions, I'll take a look. And I had been as an undergraduate, I had been a music theory and composition major, and I had written a song cycle of Shakespeare songs. So I took them in to see. So I went in with all the chutzpah, you're young, you don't know, you're such a schmuck when you're young. I'd be scared now, but there he is. I knocked on his door. I said, Mr. Bernstein, you said we could come in. So he sat there. He spent 2 hours with me. He then said, hey, I'm going out to dinner with a bunch of the kids who invited me. You want to join us? I joined him. I became his acolyte. I worked with him. I worked for him. He invited me to be his secretary, but I didn't do that stupidly. But what I did was, he then said, you're in law school. He said, you don't want to be a lawyer. You want to be in the theater. He says, so drop what you're doing and join my graduate level classes in music. I'm doing one on musical theater. And I did.
Oh, I'm so glad I asked that question. And you have never looked back, even though mostly you've been in, or you've written musicals to other people's music and stuff. You're not really known as a songwriter.
I didn't compose very well. I wasn't a very good music writer. Yeah.
But you are a very good playwright, and people can see for themselves when they go see Dear Jack, Dear Louise at the George Street Playhouse, and when they go to see the opera that you're working on, the Glimmerglass. Wait, no.
Called Tenor Overboard.
Tenor Overboard, coming to Glimmerglass, what, next year?
Next summer, this coming summer.
Alibi. Ken Ludwig, it has been a delight. It's been a joy talking to you. I thank you so much for being with us in the Daverhood. I know you have another interview, so sadly we let you go, but we wish you many broken legs more and much more great writing to come.
Thank you. You're a delight. Thank you so much. I love being here.
Shalom.
Thanks.
Shalom to you.
Shalom. Shalom. Bye-bye.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, what a delight! What a
I
look.
put the tickets for the George Street Playhouse in the link.
As in the if you look on the Facebook link,
yeah, October
the
through November.
November 21st, it's playing through.
It's through October 26th or November 21st at the Arthur Lawrence Theater.
Oh, well, Arthur Lawrence, the guy who co-wrote Gypsy and West Side Story.
Yeah,
My gosh! So
tickets now.
that's a
Some
pretty
available.
good thing. So Ken, look, you know, as great as Ludwig van
Wow.
Beethoven was, we like Ken Ludwig even more. Yes, we do.
It's sold out on the 3rd of November. Sold out. So some are sold out. Yeah.
Get your tickets now. You know what? No, go back in time. Get your tickets a week ago so you have more options of places to sit. Get your tickets to Dear Jack, Dear Louise by Ken Ludwig. And of course, he's a friend of the Daverhood now, so Dave will keep you posted.
One, two, three, 4 dates are already sold out.
Look at this. 4 dates sold out for Dear Jack, Dear Louise at the George Street Playhouse. But, you know, if you can't get there, Hashem willing, I'm not going to cross my fingers because I'm Jewish. You might wind up seeing this on Broadway next. No, not Dear Jack. Or there was the golf one. I'm sorry, he's doing the golf one.
Yeah, there's another one coming with an actress he can't say.
All right. We'll keep you posted. We'll let you know. Meanwhile, I'm not Ken Ludwig. I'm
Do you
Rabbi.
think it's Angela Lansbury?
It would be lovely, but she wouldn't know. It's not going to be Angela Lansbury. Possibly Leslie Uggams. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. No.
Charo will be live in
Charo! Yes, it's about time Charo made it to the Great White Way, ladies and gentlemen. Anywho, there's more show for you. More Dave's Gone By. Not with me, but with Dave, who's not as talented as I am, but what can you do? So I'm going to bring Dave back into the Daverhood here. I wish you a very happy week, a very safe. You know, I don't celebrate Halloween. It's a Goyish thing. It's a pagan thing. But still, I love candy. So if you want to send Rabbi Saul some kosher candy, I am all for it. But be safe and have a great week. And shalom to you all. No, play the music, goddammit. Is it me? Must be. Oh, it is me. Oy. Sorry. There we go. Hey, Hey! That's amazing. For a moment there, I was actually able to imitate Rabbi Saul's voice.
Wow.
I'm that's a pretty good thing I can do there. I didn't know I had that talent. I'm Dave Lefkowitz, by the way, and the program that you're watching is Dave's Gone By. It's a mix of humor and talking music, and we've been doing it, oh my God, since October of 2002, and we continue to do it every Saturday from 9 until, noon or thereabouts, right here on this Facebook page. So what a fabulous show it's been so far. My goodness, we've had a fun time with the trivia game with our folks. I was yapping about the great Halloween costume story early in the show. If you missed any of that, or you want to re-experience any of that, remember that all our shows are archived at davesgoneby.com. So within about 24 hours after this show, which is now live, if you're watching October 30th, 2021. Within a day, we take the video, pop it onto davesgoneby.com. We'll also excerpt out that Ken Ludwig interview for a separate section that's on the davesgoneby.com website for people who are just looking for interviews and stuff. So either way, right, there's a ton of material, literally thousands of hours at this point, of Dave's Gone By for free that you can enjoy at any time. So we talked about, this is the thing, when you've been on the air for 20 years, we talked about Carol Channing, she was on the show. We mentioned Tom Paxton during the quiz, he was on the show. Can you go listen to their interviews? Absolutely you can. Just go to davesgoneby.com. We also post our archives on archive.org. That is a nonprofit website that collates art and culture and whatever this is onto a website that's just trying to be this repository of old-time radio and old TV shows and movies and books and public domain things and stuff that people post of their own creativity. Well, this is mine. So you can see all our hours of Dave's Gone By and the interviews, archive.org. You'll also find the audio of all our programs at castbox.fm. So if you're into just audio podcasting and you're a busy person, you can't sit and watch a show for 4 hours, well, fine. Listen, take it with you. Go jogging, go shopping, go early to the George Street Playhouse. Sit there at 11 a.m. and sit there listening to my show. And then at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when the show starts, you can pull out the headphones and watch their show. So, castbox.fm. And finally, we do have a YouTube channel, Dave's Gone By. All our recent shows are there with no problem because we don't have any music on them anymore. So there's no copyright issues. And plus, I'm sorry, what?
Is there like happy dancing?
There's tons of happy dancing on the Dave's Gone By channel on YouTube.
Poses, David?
And speaking of channel, remember that if you're on Long Island and you have Altice Cablevision, basically Nassau County's cable.
What does Altice mean?
I have no idea. It's probably named after some guy's kid, or AL stands for something, TI.
Alt Ice.
Altic, Alt Ice. I don't know. It's a different kind of ice, like a dry ice thing. But if you have Altice Cablevision in Nassau County, on Tuesday evenings, prime time, 9:30 in the evening, tune in on Channel 20 for 1 hour excerpts of Dave's Gone By. So it's not the best way to watch the show, but it's really the only way you can see it on your actual television. Well, no, actually people have TVs hooked up to YouTube. They can do whatever they want now. But if you happen to be surfing the dial of your cable channel and you don't want to watch the primetime shows or the news or the home shopping, suddenly they're on Channel 20, an hour of me. And just taken randomly from the shows that we've done. Check it out, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Channel 20 on Altice Cable of Long Island. Well, I think that's pretty. And if you want to write to me, Dave's Gone By at AOL.com, and my Twitter feed is Radio Dave 2. So check those both out, please. Also, big shout out to our friends at Hewlett Minuteman Press, the Copy Kings of Broadway in Hewlett, Long Island. Not going to say anything more, but I'm not going to send, or do a commercial for them. I'm just saying, they've been on Long Island since the mid-1970s. They do really good quality work, printing and silk screening and writing invitations. Yeah, great family, the Torong folks. They help print Performing Arts Insider magazine. That's all. I'm just saying how good they are without actually telling you to patronize them, which would be a commercial, which would get me into trouble with the Altice folks. So I'm not going to do that. Anywho, we have a bit more to do on this program. We've got our Colorado Limerick of the Damned and our friends of the Daverhood. But it sounds like you feel in a criminal mood, my dear. It sounds like you want to get into some high crimes and misdemeanors. So why don't we do that? Let's do Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Yeah. Yes, Greeley Crimes and Old Times, which we do every Saturday, pretty much, here on Dave's Gone By. And it comes from two stories that are in, or columns really, that are in the Greeley Tribune newspaper from back out there in northern Colorado. This is the paper. And so one column, and both of these are real things, by the way. First of all, they gather the weirdest phone calls that come into the local police department, because it's public record, and the dispatch has to take every call that comes in and make notations about it. Well, the weirdest, oddest ones are collated and collected by the folks at the Greeley Tribune and put in a column once a week. Also, our friend at the Trib, Mike Peters, who's been there for many, many years, he goes through the newspapers back in 1921. He actually goes in a time machine. and comes out in 1921. He walks around Colorado, gets himself a sarsaparilla, and then opens up the newspapers
He
from
beats up some hobos and some chickens.
That's right. He finds hobos and chickens, sits and reads some papers, and circles the things that, from a modern perspective, are kind of funny that were in the paper all the way back then.
Penny candy, right?
We mix. Oh yes, that's right. And a Mrs. Castor's soap, which you'll always buy a little bar of Mrs. Castor's soap to bring back to 2021. And it's been really helpful during the pandemic because it's made of lye, so it just takes off all the skin as well as the germs. It's good. Those castor soaps were great. Anywho, are you ready for Greeley Crimes and Old Times, my dear? Let's get criminal. We mix these things up, the old time stories and the new ones, in Greeley Crimes and Old Times. A woman! I don't know how a siren represents. Well, a woman can be a siren if she's hot. A woman on 4th Street reported.
This one.
Very sad. Reported that she never received the puppy she purchased online. When she called the sellers, they said they were part of a cartel and threatened.
God!
And then they threatened to kill her and her kids.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I wonder if they still sent the puppy. Well,
I don't think there ever was a puppy.
You know,
I think it was what we call a scam.
Oh dear. Well, thank God for caller ID, I guess. Anywho, a woman on 17th Street said that she was a psychic and that she heard the fire department talk about setting her apartment on fire. I don't know if she heard it before they actually set it, or if she overheard it, or whatever. Anywho, a caller on Center Place Drive. Oh, we haven't had a phone call. Oh no! Oh, my ringer's broken. That's why. There's no.
We don't have the.
Oh.
No.
Do you want to use this for the phone calls?
Oh yeah, just toss it. Okay.
A phone call. A caller. Oh, a caller. Hello. Wow. I need an iPhone. That's noisy. My God. A caller on Center Place Drive reporting a man was exposing himself and watching inappropriate material in his truck. Wow. I guess if he's in his truck, is he still exposing himself?
Yes. He's in public because people walk by and can see his willy.
Oh, I guess. Well, yeah, okay. I don't have should have written something funny for that. I don't have anything. A caller on 22nd Street. Hello. I understand why they would call the police. Okay, I got it. Hello. I understand why they would call the police about a guy exposing himself. I would understand why a woman would call the police if she was suddenly threatened by people she bought a puppy from that they're going to kill her kids. Yeah. A caller on 22nd Street reported a turkey walking on the side of the road.
There you go.
I mean,
what's this world coming to? What is this world coming to?
I'm just saying, you know, you call anybody?
Of course.
Really? No, I don't know.
I mean, unless it escaped from somebody's farm or something.
Yeah. Wow, I don't even have a comedy thing for that either. I was going to make a gobble pun. I can't think of one. This is what happens after about 3 hours of the show. I start to get like, and those synapses that fire during the trivia quiz, they're just like.
Do you need sugar?
So I still have some of the Rabbi's tea here.
The tea, there's the sugar in it, agave in it.
Oh, agave at the office. All the synopses aren't dead. All right, here we go. Let's do something old-timey. This is from 100 years ago in the Greeley Tribune Republican newspaper. It was called the Greeley Tribune Republican back then. It was the title of a column there, not a news story. Quote, "The weakness of the theory that a family of 5 can't live on less than $1,500 per year is the fact that several million do." So there's Republican wisdom at its finest, quite honestly. So back in 1921, was the paper trying to say that $1,500 a year is a perfectly fine amount of money for 5 people to live on for a year, not a month, a year?
Yes.
Or are they saying that it's ridiculous that people...
They're saying people are lazy and they should be able to live on it.
Wow. Okay. I just don't know how far that went, what the equivalent would have been in 1921, where it would have been like 25,000 now, and which wasn't, but anyway. In New York, Emma Burkett was found guilty of forging a check. It was for $69,900, and she put former President Teddy Roosevelt's name on the check.
Well, Teddy always likes round numbers.
Yeah. He carried a big pen that he signed these things with, I guess. Except he didn't. Oh, that Emma Burkett. Hung, the saddest part of our living in Greeley, Colorado?
What?
Is that we lived there after this closed. But back in 1921, Greeley had a Piggly Wiggly.
Oh my God.
It had a Piggly Wiggly store.
Piggy?
It's a grocery or a supermarket.
I can't even say it.
The Piggly Wiggly store in Greeley back in 1921 was robbed of $300 last night. The owner hid the money behind some canned goods when he left the store the night before. And when he returned today, the money was gone. Well, it really should be called the Stupid Whoopid store. It's like, hello, that's why they invented safes. Professors, you like this one, professors across the country and at the college here are debating the question of life on Mars. Now, we know Abbott and Costello went there, but let's see. One professor said he received a radio signal that probably came from a Martian. Okay. Now, this is 100 years ago.
That's true.
This is a college professor, a university-educated human being who's saying that he got radio signal from a guy from Mars.
Yeah, I believe that. I get them all the time.
Now, I received radio signals from the M&M people, and I'm always happy because, they saw me get the Goobers box, and they're like, hey, how come you're not getting the M&Ms? So I'm dealing with them, but never from Mars. Go figure. Wow, not a laugh, not a giggle.
I think you mostly deal with Uranus.
Oh! Let's get back to some new times, shall we? We shall. A caller, I love this. A caller on 15th Avenue. Yeah, he was, and he was? Okay.
That's not really a phone, but I'm trying.
A caller reported a homeless man was trying to clean the store and microwave a burrito. Now I have to.
I think that's good. He's making food and also cleaning.
But here's the question for you: how filthy must your store be if a homeless person is trying to clean it?
Maybe he thought he was home.
Yeah. Drunken bum in rags wanders into the store and is like, "Oh, some end dust. Really, this will not hold." Let's do something from elsewhere. One of the things that we do on Greeley Crimes and Old Times is go elsewhere for a story that isn't in northern Colorado, but far, far away. Now, our friends will appreciate this one. Our story comes from Ankara, Turkey.
Ooh.
This is a happy little story, actually. It really is. Beyhan Mutlu, age 51, went drinking with a friend in a forest near the small town of İnegöl, Turkey. Mutlu's wife reported him missing after he didn't return home. She heard that he had walked away from his friend while drunk. Rescue teams were called to find Mutlu, who had gone to sleep in a house in the forest. When he woke up, he saw a search party going around the forest, and he decided to help them find whoever the missing person was. That's when he heard them calling his name. I told them, I am Beyhan Mutlu.
What happened?
But they didn't believe me.
Of course not.
And they continued to search. Finally, his friend Misot saw him And they called off the search, and lo and behold, he was found. And it's like, I don't know, why would a search party not believe you if you tell him, are there that many Bayhang Mutloos?
Don't they have pictures? They could like compare his picture.
I can't even begin. Will they be on? We have cell phones now. It's like, I don't even. Anyway, by the way, you're watching Dave's Gone By, the 822nd episode of the show. We're calling it Big Wig in honor of Ken Ludwig, who is just our guest on the program.
This is Ludwig, no?
Is it Ludwig with a book?
I don't know. He said he pronounced
Jewish
it
fellow.
different.
Ludwig. Ken Ludwig.
The Rabbi's pronunciation.
And I'm Dave Lefkowitz. That is my darling and adorable wife, Joyce. So, yeah, and you can see us every Saturday from 9 until noon or thereabouts, right here on this Facebook page. Which, by the way, if you want just the last couple of years of the show, you can also scroll down on our Facebook page because our shows are automatically saved here as well. It's just that Facebook doesn't have the shows that we did in the first 15, 16 years. Those were audio only. They were radio shows. So those you have to go to davesgoneby.com for. Anyway, let's do one or two more Greeley Crimes and Old Times, and then we'll move on to finish up the program on this Saturday. So, shall I do another Elsewhere, or shall I leave the Elsewheres? Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is actually so recent that I really should do it now. We go all the way to Christchurch, New Zealand. Christchurch, New Zealand, this is sad, is parting ways with its official city wizard after more than 2 decades. Spelling his doom, his offensive remarks about women and the local government's new tourism strategy. Ian Brackenberry Channel.
Tourism strategy, no wizard. New Zealand, wizard free.
38 days without a wizard. Ian Brackenberry Channel is known as the Wizard of New Zealand, apparently even on official documents like his passport. He's been on the city council's payroll since 1998, making about $11,000 a year.
How much?
11 grand, which in 1921 money,
David,
a family of 5.
How come you say I'm a witch and you don't pay me?
What? Oh. Well, I give you a broom to ride around on, don't I?
No.
Oh, well.
Give me the stick.
Now, the wizard's job is to, quote, provide acts of wizardry and other wizard-like services as part of promotional work for the city of Christchurch. Yeah. The council has thanked him for his service. This, however, comes after he said, quote, I love women. I forgive them all the time. I've never struck one yet, and never strike a woman because they bruise too easily, and then they'll tell the neighbors and their friends. Unquote.
TMI.
Yeah, I mean, joking, you think that's appropriate for a wizard to be saying such things? I don't know. Asked whether he would curse the council over firing him, the wizard said he preferred blessings.
Aww.
And he said, quote, I give children happy dreams, general good health, and I want to make bureaucrats become more human.
And he gives women,
and he doesn't hit women.
And he puts women in therapy, I guess, right?
Although, if he were a proper wizard, he could strike a woman, bruise her terribly, and then make the wounds go away.
If he were a wizard, he could resolve the conflict magically without any violence.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Ian Brackenberry Channel is probably still looking for work. If another town needs a wizard, perhaps, it should really be Australia. Then he could be the Wizard of, literally, Oz.
Yeah, Ozzy. Yeah. Wizard of Ozzy. Aussie, Oz, I can't say it.
Aussie wizard. If, well, the Wizard of Id is already taken, but if he goes and does for Indian restaurants, he could be the Wizard of Italy.
Wow.
I would like that. I don't know where I'm going with this, but anyway, all Godspeed to Christchurch and Ian Brackenberry Channel, the former Wizard of New Zealand. Well, let's complete our wizardry here on the Greeley Crimes and Old Times segment on Dave's Gone By. Let's do another old-timey thing. I think that'll... Well, no, we don't have a lot of old-timey ones. No, we'll do one more. 3 beet field workers were arrested. Ooh.
Wait, hold on.
After one of them threw a sugar beet at a passing train, breaking a window. What were trains made out of back then? Like a beet?
Well, I saw a show on like a mystery show where a guy fell through his apartment window.
Oh.
How flimsy is a window that you fall through? I've never seen that.
After he confessed to the mischief, the other 2 were released from jail, but one of the released men said he preferred to stay in jail a few more days because his sleep at night was the best he'd gotten in many years. This sounds actually like a disguised hobo story.
Yes.
They're beat workers, whatever. Nah, these are hobos. He's definitely a hobo story. And let's see, one more. A man reported his neighbor was yelling at him for leaving his dog out. He said he was afraid to get shot by his neighbor because the neighbor was crazy. Meanwhile, separate story, a man on 21st Avenue said he got into an argument and he was ready to get angry, kill, or shoot someone and start a terrorist attack.
Love and love. People are just so perfect.
I think if you're about to plan a terrorist attack, the first people you should call is the police. Give them notification, let them know, rope off the street, perhaps, put up a sign that there's going to be some activity like a movie set happening thing. Let the terrorism thing occur.
Yes.
I think it's very courteous of a terrorist to inform the police.
I think it's nice that he's warning.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that concludes this section of Dave's Gone By. We, of course, call it Greeley Crimes and Old Times.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool.
He was not.
I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yi, yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We are here still on this Saturday, October 30th, 2021, with the 822nd episode of Dave's Gone By. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. That's my wonderful wife. We're almost done with the show, but we have a little bit more to do. We haven't done yet the Friends of the Daverhood. So I'm so delighted that we had Ken Ludwig, our new friend of the Daverhood, on the program. That he's got his website, kenludwig.com. Ludwig, just like the drum set that Ringo used to use. Ludwig, or maybe he still does, ludwig.com. And of course, if you're in New York or New Jersey or Connecticut, get yourself over to the George Street Playhouse in Livingston, New Jersey, and go see his play, his family biographical play, which is called Dear Jack, Dear Louise, and that is running through mid-November. So, welcome, new friend of the Daverhood, Ken Ludwig. Also, of course, we've got to thank our friends David Sheward, who writes for theaterlife.com, culturaldaily.com, and his own blog, The David Desk. So he reviews theater for a couple of those. He also does other kinds of stuff on his blog. He's been doing a lot about old Carol Burnett shows and rarities and stuff that is or isn't on DVD collections. Check him out. The David Desk is the blog. We're also so fond of Leslie Hoban Blake. Leslie is a longtime theater director, but also a theater critic, and she and Charlie Gross are on Critics Circle. It has a whole
LinkedIn for them. I didn't put them.
Yeah. Critics Circle right on YouTube. And remember that the upcoming episode, or the one that may be there right now, I'm on.
I put the Lehman Brothers.
Oh, thank you.
Is that you?
Yeah. I'm on there with Charlie because we both saw the Lehman Brothers and we're reviewing it together.
You look very cute.
Leslie had to, I think, take a week off of the show, so that's why Charlie got me and David Sheward to be on Critics Circle.
Leslie can't see some stuff, so he wants to get people who have seen stuff so he can pair you up, right?
Yeah. So that he can start reviewing things.
Like in person stuff, yeah.
So anyway, that's the thing. So go to Critics Circle and see the whole show. I know I played Charlie in my Lehman review earlier in this program, but go see how he and David Sheward talk about, I guess, Sanctuary City, if that's the one that they did together, and the rest of the program. Critics Circle is the YouTube channel. And Vicki Quade, nunsforfun.com. If you're in Chicago, go see Holy Ghost Bingo and Late Night Catechism. Yeah, she's always been, every weekend she's doing these shows, and then it'll go back to Catechism after Halloween, and then there'll be the Christmas Bingo coming up towards December. So check it out, nunsforfun.com. These are all friends of the Daverhood, as is the great, the Jewish Rabbi Sol Solomon. Of course, Rabbi Sol, his website is shalomdammit.com, shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T, shalomdammit.com. Now, Rabbi Sol, what a website he's got. He's got all his rabbinical reflections there. He had about 170 sermons that he's done over the years. They're short, they're like 5-10 minutes, about everything under the sun. If you missed last week's, it was about brown sugar and how the Rolling Stones are retiring brown sugar from their act because it's been, called out as being racist and terrible towards women and black women and all of that. You'll hear what the rabbi has to say about that. You can find it, shalomdammit.com. There's also the place to watch his stage show, Shalom Dammit, an Evening with Rabbi Sol Solomon. That is on the shalomdammit.com site, the whole performance, as well as 10 episodes of the hilarious program that he did for Long Island Cable TV back about a decade and a half ago. It's all there at shalomdammit.com. So those are just some of the friends. Those are the friends of the Daverhood who are on this episode. What about ones who've been on the program in past years?
Tell them like the Jackie Collins one if people wanted to see that.
Well, that's a little different because I wait. Let me start the segment and I'll get into that. Here's, in honor of Ken Ludwig. Here's the other Ludwig. Joyce wants me to mention that if you've got Netflix, you might have been watching the documentary they have there about writer Jackie Collins. Jackie Collins was never on Dave's Gone By, but I did interview her for, it was probably Long Island Woman. Yeah, I'm sure it was, about 10, 15 years ago. So if you go to my other website, davelefkowitz.org, that is a website not for this show, but for my writing, for my plays, for my reviews. Remember when the rabbi asked Ken Ludwig about whether he's compiling all his stuff into one place, and a library's doing it for him? I don't have a library doing it for me. So I'm putting it all on the interwebs, my song lyrics, my jokes, my plays, my reviews, my interviews. They're all there at davelefkowitz.org. Check it out. And you can find my interview with Jackie Collins there. In fact, you can also find my interview with Jay Black. I posted this on Facebook. Jay Black of Jay and the Americans passed away about a week ago. He wasn't on this program, alas, but I did interview him for, I think it was the Long Island Examiner, 20-something years ago. I found that article. I put it up a few months ago. You can go read it anytime you want to at davelefkowitz.org. But in terms of the friends of the Daverhood, let's talk about folks who have been on this program in the past, over the 20 years that we have been on the air. For example, first of all, Jason Gra is beloved Jason Gra. He's been on the show 3 times. Now through tomorrow, Halloween, he is directing a grand night for singing. If you happen to be in California, go see it at Long Beach, California's Musical Theater West. It's Rodgers and Hammerstein Review, a grand night for singing, directed by Jason Gra. Playing now through November 1st, so I think that's just Monday, Marilyn May. Marilyn May is like 94 years old. We had her on the program when she was like 89, and we were thrilled. She's 94. She's still performing. Go see her at Feinstein's 54 Below. And playing also Monday night, the York Theater is having its Hammerstein Awards. Now, our friend James Morgan is the producing artistic director of the York Theater off-Broadway. They're honoring Maltby and Shire for their lifetime of music, and appearing as part of this in-person event will be our friends Sally Mays, Christiane Knoll, and it's at the Edison Ballroom Edison Ballroom is not our friend. I read that wrong. But it's the Hammerstein Awards at the Edison Ballroom on Monday night. So do check that out. Now, also through Monday, the new musical review put together by our friend Dave Koenig. It's called The King of the Bronx. And they're having a reading, like an industry reading, at Ripley Greer Studios in Manhattan. On Tuesday, November 2nd, Lilius White is doing a tribute to Sarah Vaughan's music. That is in New Jersey at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center in Newark. For more information, go to njpac.org. On the 5th, which I do believe is Friday, at the Suffolk Theater in Riverhead, Long Island, David Bromberg will be performing, I'm pretty sure with a full band. David Bromberg, go for more information to suffolktheater.com. And now we move to Broadway. Let's not forget Ruben Santiago Hudson's one-man play. He wrote it, he directed it, he stars in it, and it's gotten amazing reviews in every iteration he's had. It started off Broadway, he made a movie of it, now he's on Broadway at the Samuel J. Friedman Theater. It's a Manhattan Theater Club production of Lackawanna Blues, and it's been extended now through November 12th, because he missed a bunch of shows with a bad back. So they've added shows, which is great. It's Lackawanna Blues on Broadway. Off-Broadway, see Karen Ziemba and Robert Cuccioli. We get two for one in there of our friends. Gingold Theater Group is doing a revival of George Bernard Shaw's Mrs. Warren's Profession, playing now through November 20th. I want to let you know that Eric Comstock and Barbara Fasano have once again been extended for their weekly gig at Birdland every Saturday night. I believe is at either 5 o'clock or 5:30 in the afternoon. Not 100% sure. Check out Birdland's website for more information. Now through January 2nd, off-Broadway, go see Julie Halston in the comedy Fairy Cakes. Is at the Greenwich House Theater. Reviews were okay on that. Not raves, but certainly sounded like it's a lot of fun and worth seeing. LaChanze.
Your play is great, David. I just read it.
What play is that?
I can't. The 1-3%.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah.
Excellent.
LaChanze is in Trouble in Mind on Broadway. Just started previews and playing through the first week of January, or second week of January, excuse me. That's a Roundabout Theater Company production at the American Airlines Theater. Trouble in Mind with LaChanze. And Waitress at the Ethel Barrymore Theater on Broadway features our friend Dakin Matthews. J.O. Sanders is in Girl from the North Country that just reopened on Broadway at the Belasco Theater. Tammany Hall is a new experiential, immersive kind of a play that has been co-created by Darren Lee Cole. He is the owner of the Soho Playhouse, and that is where that show is. Jim Caruso's Cast Party every Monday night at Birdland. BirdlandJazz.com is the website for Birdland. So if you're interested in that, or Eric Comstock and Barbara Fasano, BirdlandJazz.com. Evan Seplow founded and edits StageBuddy.com for all your interest in New York nightlife. Dr. Demento still doing Dr. Demento shows at drdemento.com. Bob Cudmore doing podcasts about upstate New York history at bobcudmore.com. Stuart Brown doing soundsofbroadway.com. This is a website where it's like a radio station. You tune in and it's 24/7 Broadway show tunes. How can you beat it? soundsofbroadway.com. And most of all, gotta give a shout out, even though they're not yet friends of the Daverhood, but I'm hoping in a week or two they will be. My cousins, Josh and Dana Pinkow, have given birth. They done the nasty about 9 months ago. He got on top of her or they did something. And at some point, a thing came out of it. And the thing, a healthy, happy Luke
Cute.
Foster Pinkow. Luke, nice Jewish boy named Luke.
Very cute.
We saw the pictures, really cute.
adorable.
And what's really, really nice is that the L was for my cousin Josh's dad, Lester, who I knew very, very well. And the Foster, the F, the Jewish name that they're choosing for his middle name, or no, actually the Jewish first name for the kid is going to be F. Pay for Fievel, which was my dad's name. my dad's Hebrew name. So thank you very much to Josh and Dana Pinkow. We want to get them on the air. We want to bring them to you and show them that cute little adorable baby. Hoping we're able to do that in a week or two. But anyway, mazel tov, either way, to Josh and Dana Pinkow. Not really friends of the Daverhood, but they're family. They're family of the Daverhood. So we go from the sublime there, of Beethoven and having a new cousin, and of playwriting and talking about Sheridan and the theater, to our final segment of Dave's Gone By this week. It's a Colorado Limerick of the Damned. Now this is because we've lived so many years in northern Colorado, Joyce and I. At one point, for no reason, I took it into my head to write a poem about as many places in Colorado as I could possibly find on a map, on a list. So it goes from big places like Denver and Vail and Fort Collins, etc., to little tiny places with 20 people in them that you've never heard of, but they're real. So I've been doing this week after week after week for years, and it ain't stopping yet. So we have some more Colorado Limericks of the Damned to go, especially since I'm trying to write a new one still every week. And yes, we have a new one. And amazingly enough, this is, it's not dirty. It's not even rude. I must be losing my touch. But we're going to Holyoke, Colorado. Just being able to make a damn poem about Holyoke, I should get some credit. Our Colorado Limerick of the Damned.
You're the poetry man. A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick. Rocky Mountain,
Colorado. Indeed, we go to Holyoke, Colorado. Let me tell you a little something about it before I poison the place with my poetry. Holyoke is in Phillips County, which is in far northeast Colorado, over towards Nebraska. It's got 2,500 people on 1.5 square miles, so it's not like a little abandoned ghost town. Founded in 1888, the wiki page says, like it's actually named for Holyoke, Massachusetts. I guess sort of a sister city thing, which itself was named for 17th century explorer Eleazar Holyoke. Do you remember Eleazar Holyoke?
I remember the college.
Yeah, oh, well, yeah. I tried to mount Holyoke, but she threw me off. Anywho, 3 highways run through Holyoke, including, so that's why it's got so many people, and it's really a real transit hub when you're going through the state. That's why you will find in Holyoke, Colorado, the Phillips County Museum.
Oh, nice. That's what I was looking for.
It's like pioneers history kind of stuff, And the Phillips County Fair, which, hey, pale shadow of Potato Day, but still. And then lots of agriculture in the town, wheat, corn, beans, alfalfa. That's what it's known for, too. So sounds like a really nice place. Holyoke, Colorado. I do have a Colorado Limerick of the Damned for Holyoke Co. There once was a modest and lowly bloke who worked as a grocer in Holyoke. Each weekend, poor Jack would go to the track, and as you would expect, he went slowly broke.
That was good.
That one, well, because it wasn't dirty or anything. It was just, it was sad. It's just sad. And if you don't want to be sad on a Saturday morning, you want to complain, send your complaint letters to davesgoneby@aol.com. You can also send happy letters and shout-outs and requests and ideas to the same address, davesgoneby@aol.com. DAVESGONEBY. davesgoneby@aol.com. So, and also, by the way, you're welcome to post your messages and ideas and things on my Facebook page, or if you want to reach me, if you're a friend on Facebook, got about 5,000 of them, you're welcome to message me directly on Facebook as well. I try to respond to as much as I can. Remember that my Twitter feed is Radio Dave 2, Radio Dave and the number 2. So check that out, please. Also, and what else? I have an Instagram, but until I get a new phone, I'm not really doing the Instagram or the TikTok route. I just can't. But at some point, someday.
Well,
but certainly, we check out this Facebook
you're too
page.
pretty for that stuff.
Yeah, I am. Remember, though, that one of the things that we want is more and more people knowing about the show, discovering the program, knowing the kind of interviews that we do, the comedy that we do, the trivia quizzes. Tell your friends. They're like, well, what are you doing Saturday morning? Well, yeah, can we go? Oh, I'll go, but can we go at noon instead of 10? Because I want to watch Dave's Gone By. He's got a great guest on, or I like playing the trivia quiz, or he's just so stupid I love to listen to him. Tell people how to watch the show, whether they're watching live on Facebook on Saturday mornings, or if they're watching the archives.
Oh, and wish our friend Wendy. We gotta call Wendy. Yeah. Wish our friend Wendy the best.
Yes, you're right.
She's been a trooper. She's a
shout out.
I give her a complete respect.
Yeah.
She's like.
Speaking of friends of the Daverhood,
she's awesome.
Wendy Hybe and her husband, Fred Cleaver.
We call them Friendy. That's their name.
They've been on the show many times, and we've become great friends.
They did very well on the quiz.
They did, yeah. Well, 2 against sometimes 1. That's
but they don't
group thing.
They don't collaborate. They just say it. They don't like huddle and collaborate. They just speak there.
Well, Wendy has been undergoing, and she's talked about it on the show. She has gone through now 3 different surgeries 1 week after another. I mean, they're procedures, but they have to go into her head,
her brain,
and wire that up to control seizures.
Not seizures, tremor, Parkinson's, not seizure.
Oh, so there's not even a seizure thing at all.
Tremor to help control motor function.
And we're hoping it's working. Yeah. And she first had to have 2 surgeries just to get some stuff in there before they could get the remote control and attach it to her.
It's not a remote control.
Well, what she did?
It's a remote control. She can do the TV. It's a. I don't know, but I don't think it's called remote control. Thank God you didn't go to medical school. That's all.
Basically, all they do is after the brain surgery, they scotch tape a garage door opener to her tips.
Right? They go all teeth.
And just go. Feels good. No, but so far she's been feeling fine. She's been undergoing it okay.
She sounds strong. She looks great.
I mean, think about it. They've opened her head 3 times.
David.
Well, I'm just saying.
Only twice.
Oh, twice for that, and then 1 time for the implant of the other thing where you push or don't push or just there. I really don't understand the whole thing. This is why I'm not a surgeon. I should really stop doing the surgeries because.
There are many David Lefkowitzes who are doctors.
I'm not on them. God help me.
You're creative, honey. You're creative.
So anyway, so far, Mazel Tov and Refuah Shlema, all the words that Rabbi Saul would use to say hi to and to give a happy and healthy shout out to Wendy Hybe. And also a big shout out to my old friend Jeff Goodman. I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe it is his birthday today. And Jeff used to be the guest co-host of this show for a couple of years when we would do it late night on WGBB. So Jeff, I'll try and call him today too. Happy birthday to Jeff Goodman.
To you.
No,
happy
birthday to you. Do the Chica song.
You're happy and we know. So take the candles and blow.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
The chickens are
Nobody knows what I'm talking about, but if you have children, or there won't be children anymore, now they'd be about 10 or 14, and they knew from the Chica Sprout show on whatever that children's channel was, they would do birthday shout-outs, and the stupid, annoying little chicken would come out. By the way,
you love Chica.
Did we give away Chica? Remember you bought me a Chica one time?
I don't think I would have given away Chica.
You think maybe in the box downstairs?
It's gotta be. I wouldn't have given away anything special, so I wouldn't have given away chicken.
I hope not.
I hope not. I don't think I did.
Maybe she flew
I gave
away.
The big Kermit, but I didn't give away.
You
chicken.
gave away the big giant
I
Kermit.
Bimbo Balbo.
How could you get? We had him in our garage. I had an enormous.
Because it cost $150 to ship him.
We could have left him in your office. I could have come and got him. No.
No.
I used to leave Kermit in like the. I didn't put him in the driver's seat. I'm in the passenger seat of the car, and just walk away from the car and just wonder if people like.
I think we did put him in the car, Kermit, a lot of times. Yeah, we like that.
Ah, sorry, Kermit.
You were a prankster.
I was indeed. Anywho, thanks so much for tuning in to Dave's Gone By this Saturday. It's about 12:30 in the afternoon, Eastern time. I think we pretty much done the show. Is there anything you want to talk about? Any wishes you want to send out? Anything?
No.
No?
I'm just hoping that my reaction to the flu shot is much better than my reaction to the booster.
Joyce had her booster shot 2.5 weeks ago. She got a little bit of a headache, a little bit of very temporary fever, and then you got your regular migraine thing. I don't think that's connected.
Tell the difference. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell anymore.
So you were affected, and your arm hurt for like a day or two. Mm-hmm. But when you say you had a reaction to the booster, it wasn't.
Oh no! I didn't have anaphylaxis. I don't have.
Because the last thing we want to do is tell people don't get the shots.
No, I don't have anaphylaxis. You know that. I mean.
Anaphylaxis. Didn't I used to date her when I went to Greece? No.
It was shocking.
Oh, I don't get that. Ha!
Anaphylaxis is like when.
That's of course. This is how brain dead I am right now. Oh.
David needs a hamburger.
Oh, no, I need shock treatment. Oh, I need something. That's true. Anywho.
You need a cuddle. A cuddle.
I do.
You need
a cuddle. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a week. What a day it has been. I'm $1 richer for my Halloween party. And my costume, which also won me a box of goobers. So, can a week get better? We'll have to see. I don't know who or if we'll even have a guest next week. I'm hoping it might be my cousins, actually. We will see. But Dave's Gone By. The way to tell what we're up to and what will be on next, go to the website, davesgoneby.com. Check this Facebook page.
Gorgeous.
Why, thank
you. Gorge.
I have mixed feelings. I love the hat. Shirt is pissing me off a little. Have to be honest. Not happy about the humorous tone of your shirt. I can understand potato. I can't. Hey, maybe I'll even get a potato in the mail. I think I did get one this week. Or is this the potato you fixed? No, this is the one Joyce fixed. But we didn't share that, did we?
No. Why don't you show
we had gotten a new potato 2 or 3 weeks ago.
We should have done it before and after. I didn't even do it with Franken-tato when he got bit up.
Yeah. But remember, his nose was kind of hanging off. I bought a potato on eBay, and he came and he was not in the best of shape. So the nose was hanging. Joyce went with a needle and a thread and a staple gun and a soldering kit. And also she got some cement mixers together and sewed on his nose so that he looks absolutely gorgeous. Look at him. I'm dreading the week ahead because this week was so good. This was ended in such a happy way.
You didn't talk about the costume, did you?
I did. Oh yeah, I did.
Yes.
I did. So when you were at the gym.
Oh yeah. Just savor the week, and then you have your bearded friend. You could maybe incant to him.
I'm just saying this has been such a good week that next week won't it'll get worse. But then I'll have something to talk about and complain with to you next Saturday, 9 a.m. for the 823rd episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream. Go get yourself some really lovely candy. Not today. Don't get it today. Get it Monday. That's the first thing I'm going to run to, Monday morning. Where's the on sale 50% off candy, which I don't even do anymore. I'll complain about that next time, I'll bet you.
Walgreens does. They said it.
What? Tell me.
I saw in Walgreens they have discount candy.
Starting Monday or now?
I don't know when.
And they're discounting because they want people to buy for Halloween. But they're still taking $1 off. So it's $4 for a candy bar that's now $3. Now, I want a thing of candy, like a pound of chocolate for $1.50. Then you'll get my money, Walgreens. Oh, yes. Anywho, Oh, get ready to play that for our outro theme. There goes the Daverhood.
Days gone by, they're gone. Days gone by, they're gone. Days gone by, they're gone.
Okay.